Yo, good morning. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Mijn naam is Viggy en ik maak video's, mostly of Yiddish. Vanaf hangt in de handige video. Please consider liking, sharing and subscribing, was helpt mij in the channel tremendously. Of you can be a channel member, that would be Oslo. Also, greatly appreciated to help us the channel. Teen crazy stuff. Vanaf hangt in de handige video. Please. Dus is nicht kein financial advice. Wenn dem steht, do not financial advice, kick es wie ein Kind, wie ein Adult, du spielt Lego und er weiß nicht, was tut. So please, do not copy trade. Das ist nicht kein Trading School. Ich spiele mich stamma so herum. Und eng sind du mit der Ride. So, welcome to Viggy's Ride. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-dee-da-dee-da. Ba-da-bi-da-ba-da-ba-ba-dee-da-da. So ja, steigen wir ins Du auf ein Dienstag in der Früh. Nana Seiger, wie klur. Yankee T. Good morning. How you doing? Didn't you say you have a gig today? No, that was yesterday. Last night. Last night I had a gig. Nacht en nacht ben ik gewoon busy. Du Menschen was tier nach Teufels. So ein mit tier nach Teufel. That's how I take it. CG, everything is good. Good morning. How you doing? Was geht vor? 9:03 for 26 minutes in market open before it hits the floor. Sie kann man nicht kann the market is sehr still. So wie ein Hintel, was geht nicht kann Bill. Bitcoin 82,000. Hovert in between 84, 83 in 80. Jim with a J. Good morning. Brooklyn. Kings of subscribers. How you doing? Wie sie gewinnen in der Nacht. Ich hoffe, ich habe gehabt, ein Gitterlach. Man greift sich von den dosigen Tug. Jetzt kicken wir darauf auf ADTX in SCNX. Lass mal sehen, die wir können etwas machen mit der Gebra. Ich will noch nicht so pappen fahren 9:30, aber ich will sein in the wag. Nicht vergessen, das ist nicht kein financial advice. So please be very careful. The market hat wegnehmen alles, was die hast. Ich kann was die hast. And by the way, ich sende du, gib mir das Futter über den Like-Button. Geh bei Hitler dem Like-Button. Es geht ein langer, riesiger Weg. Brooklyn and Jim. How's it going? Ik heb gehoord Srully Greens mix. De Peter mix hadden we. In de lyrics, also dort schreit er aan in de midden. Redt van, zoekt etwas, gib mir coke. En nog zoekt de drug kind. Or something like that. And it's just a reference to the take, wie man halt aan tegen take. Jim is very good. Nice. How was my gig yesterday? It was quick, actually. It was an in and out situation. I thought it's going to be a long shift, but no. I got fortunate. I got lucky. But ich gewollt mich zurückjugen in going live just because of that going live. So. But it was good. It was good. Ich sehe the bright side of it. Got paid already? Nein, noch nicht. Not yet. But someone I trust, so. And auch at the end of Geld geht a certain plus, meaning to say it's going to a certain bill, so I'm not worried. The bill is not due. Yet. Ich hoffe, SCNX geht nicht pappen für 930. Because it's about 340. The sell is 440. The profit sell. And 210. No, 40, 50, 60. 280. Don't trust anyone. Yeah, depending on the level, you get what I'm saying? So if he's not, that person is not running away. Well, I had that kleine outstanding bill by Viggy. You know what I mean? As läuft weg by Viggy, I think I need to help him run away. Because he got bigger issues. But I also think he's doing kind of me. He's kind of doing me. He's also kind of doing me a favor. We can't see the stocks, man. Hold on. Wait a minute. Zeg maar OBS. Get al de hakker aan de... Zij vriezen us. I don't know why, but thank you. When ich als a fan do von der 389. So today on to the gig, I think he's doing me more of a favor, really. Like it's nicht 100% a favor, of course, but he's doing. I think there is a favor involved, getting me that gig. You know what I'm saying? So, ich bin dankbar. Dude, he left our community? I don't think so. I don't think so. He didn't say anything. It's Kenan says Piram, so it says hectic. Piram is hectic. Also, alles Gits hasn't checked in a while. MS, MSC, ECT. Listen, their community is in and out. It's fluid, as they say. Nochi? Which Nochi? Did we have a Nochi? What kind of work do you do? Brooklyn. So M days. Usually whatever the guy paying wants me to do. You know? Ungeheuben fin driven. Kennen. No, humble brag though. Humble brag is fine. So I do odds and ends, Brooklyn. You know, I will a helping hand or there's something like that. Try I also helpen. The Melchume is tzedek, yes. I think they bombed like 50 places. The ceasefire is done. Wir haben gesehen, als man gehargert zwei von der Enemy. Wie heißt der? Einzig wenn der Minister von Interiors, Justice dort bei Hamas. Und noch ein Commander hat man noch gehargert. The question is what's happening versus, in a sense, what is the objective? Is there a point where Hamas got folded? Like they're gonna say, you know, the people inside of Gaza are gonna be fed up? I don't know. By the way, as a coming show, give us a foot with the like button. It goes such a long way. No. 9/11. 9th minute. See, mark it open. TDTH. This is popping with no news. Sam Libo. Good morning, good morning. Barnon. Good morning, good morning. Baron. Nicht Barnon. Was sogar? Baron. How you doing? How you doing? Sam, what's the Sache? Time to grab some more Teslas. Yes. Definitely. It was definitely a good dip. A good dip. But dafür brauchen wir Challah. Sie kaufen dem Dip. You know? Like Barron Trump. Okay. We got you. Trumpel Dumpel. We get them as a kleiner Pumpel. 283. Schon gewinn lower wie 283. Hold on. Lass mal geben mal Checkl. Sehen dem ganzen Säckel. A messy chart. Sam, du denkst, man vielleicht mal geben, wie heißt das für messy charts? 218. That's a 238. Can't wait for your comments on Abby. Ich will nicht bauen als eine ganze Sache. That's why I didn't want to review it right away. Like, es ist eine harte Sache. Man muss commenten, man muss sagen, in der Regel sich mischen, und es nicht, you know, für meine eigenen Thoughts. Und ich will auch sagen, nicht sensitive zu Michigassen. But man darf auch wissen, dass certain things fallen an in Michigassen. SH is slow. Wusste du das SH? Ich will nicht bauen als eine ganze Sache, sich misssuchen in... Oh no, I was up to the part when... Als man darf auch recognizen, as if anything... Als du eine Sache wie ein Michigas, you might not understand it. And... I don't know if I sucht das dort of the podcast. If he makes a difference between kids and adults. That's what really boils down. Do two parts of the conversation. So do the adults, hecher 18, kannst du wo du willst, and below 18, wenn du bist noch ein Kind. Because if somebody says, no, anybody under 18 does not have the power to consent, sind wir dann schon Sach nehmt wie wartet. An adult can't think what he will, long he doesn't harm other people. You know, you might not need to understand it. But mishigas and mishigas. But wenn sie kommt zu Kinder, sie sagen, als 5- of 10-Jähriger weiß, was will. But man lässt ihm nicht kaufen Alkohol, man lässt ihm nicht kaufen Cigarettes, man lässt ihm nicht machen kein Tattoo, er kann nicht scheinen für Surgeries, gar nicht. I think we should hold off with a hoo-ha type of things. So I'll give it a few. Let's see what the Sache ist. Ich habe gehabt an etwas scheduled, also 10:30 in the free, but it got delayed to I think 12:30 or something like that. So we're gonna have to wie heißt das? Take it easy. No, kann ich alles reviewen, du, ob es nicht du kann movers oder I get the move of the day. Doom. Wie viele views hat die video? Not that I care. Like it doesn't really make a difference. It's got 15,000 views in one day. I'm sure the comments are just amazing. The eerste comment is just two dudes having a conversation. Ay, ay, ay. 163 likes. That's a simple comment. Two dudes. Ik ken Matty van the Estonian Killer, van the Estonian King van Kill Tony. Just two dudes. Sitting and talking. Oh, bijna ken die character. Eine schreibt, I came here for the comments. Way more interesting. CG, jeder einer ist verrückt. Ich denke, ich habe gewatcht einmal ein Movie. Ich denke nicht die Nummern oder die ganze Idee von dem Movie. But I remember what rausgesteckt von mir. The Mann haben sich zu harget. YG! Good morning. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome. So, the Mann haben sich etwas zu harget. In erster Linie gekommen von Arbeit. Und getroffen sein ganze Haus. Seine Sachen. Alles in draußen in der Front Lawn. So, durch den Movie hat sich ausgestellt in draußen auf seinem Jahr, der ganze Haus. Und wohnt in draußen, hat nicht wie zu gehen. Basically, noch ein paar Tage, noch eine Woche, 2 wohnen in draußen, hat mitgehalten mit den Neighbors. In 2 Wochen später sucht er sein Neighbor, bist Kuckuck, du wohnst auf dem Gas. Sucht er, nein, sind wir alle Kuckuck. Die war's noch ranzugehen, interdant hier. Jeder einer, wenn es kommt ziemlich Gas, ist jeder einer Kuckuck. Jeder einer hat sich seine Sachen. Man darf nicht verstehen alle Mischigas. Not weil es jenems Mischigas, darf man es nicht verstehen. Man darf nicht. Mischigas ist ärger, also wie man sagt, Anredenisch ist ärger wie ein Krank. A Mischigas ist whatever gets you tickled in the cup, you know what I mean? Wow, click on the 1 minute candle. Phew. Was ist geschehen, du? Weiß ich nicht, hab ich nicht verstanden? Banana, Sally. Good morning, good morning. How you doing? Hello and welcome. Wow, kick und der aufziehen der Häusen, du, bei VINC. Nicht vergessen, nicht vergessen. Also, nicht kein financial advice. The market kickt aus Eier still. It looks very cold. Let's begin. Avrumi. Good morning, good morning. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, we got you, Avrumi. We got you. I appreciate. But was kann ich tun? Was kann ich tun als a gig kommt heran? That somebody's reaching out and doing me some form of favor. You know. Bezoek me, ik heb gratitude. Voor de mensen die het niet meer. $9:22. 8 minuten in market open. Bis je weet dat zo. Okay. You need to host them. No, P was just saying. Good morning, good morning, good morning. BM. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Shine in der Friede, und dann kommt heran, man geht das a Krieg heran. A Kriegerie, hab ich gewollt sagen. 6:20 is dabei, du. Sam, jetzt sollen wir gleich herantanzen in dem Review, huh? We wanna see the review. So, I got it scheduled for 10:30 beërig, hand in the free. But that person delayed it. So, we'll see how long the trading guide. En nog dan met man even was glano, met geef maar van gaan, ja? We gaan het gieten woord. Sally's gonna live if you review. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a non-reviewer, a non-Sally reviewer. Aber nicht jeder Verrückter kommt da raus. Also geht das. Abby Stein, jawohl, de Oilem will noch das reviewen. I should review Abby. I should rate her. Not berate her. Abby level 1, bro. It's a weak podcast. Capital him. I'll just trash talk. Perfect, Sally. That's great. We love trash talk while eating popcorn chips. And be like, every time I say she, it's a he. It's a he. Get it through your thick skull, Viggy. To uneducated people. But BM, da watchen, because then if I make a review, it'll be maybe 3 uneducated people. That kind of watchel, was ich so, you know? Mr. Slash Maras. Food for an unhealthy podcast. Food set the mood, so I guess it's not some crazy mood we gotta get into. Ich wollte sehr stark gewollt haben, to be honest. Ich will nicht Abby für ein Schmies. But ob ich wollte ja gehabt Abby für ein Schmies, wollte ich nur gewollt, als kommen, reden gehörig. Also wie ich rede dir. Nicht mit der squeaky voice. Gits ob sie hat sich gestochen in der Stechen macht also reden. The most natural as possible. Like that's a good time right there. Ooh, Sally, you're coming in way too with proof, evidence. You're coming in with stuff. Siz a air. Ich hear das is a air. Can you bring... It has nothing to do with me, Jim. Es hat nicht mit mir. Ich kann nicht Bugs do mit Menschen und ich kann rausflippen Menschen, wem ich will bringen. People have to want. Ich don't darf man sagen ready. What I would ask Abby... the first question most probably will go in. What's on everybody's mind? The plumbing. Come on, that's like one of the... I would lie to you, that this would not be my... At least wanting to be my first question. Just one question will all be free. But the reason for which ich rief Abby Ashi is because this is was a will. Ehrlich ist also riefen. Geht mich gewoon. Schluff ich mit dir. Mit ihm. Mit hier. You know what I mean? Jeder will wissen wegen der plumbing. So it's not even... I will be lying to all of you if I don't ask it. So call me dog. Jim, when I throw something and I say fetch, I will say fetch doggy. Because I'll tell you, Sally. Well, this is the put your money where your mouth is type of thing, you know? Und in a dress and was lange Haar, das kann doch jeder ein Team. But it's the real deal, you know what I'm saying? Going into the slish slish zoom zoom in the garbage. The real slish slish. I don't want the real. It has nothing to do with me. I want her to be committed. You said you want to be a woman. Gegangen. Arup mit der Sach. Listen. Otherwise, you know, we'll build like a mid-viber shield, you know? From the hips down, you can walk around in the shield. In hips up, you got to be in the viber shield. Is Abby allowed to put on twill? Get the question. Put your money where your job is. Get. Weißt du, idle Yid ist mehr so wie talked away. Is Abby a talker? Nicht kein Carlson. Are you talking your Carlson? No, that would be a good question. Are you gonna do a Badika? No. Didn't they say believe all women? Tackar Evison. Nicht nur die Gemüse, es ist eine normale Sache. Believe all truckers. Sam, es ist eine normale human Sache. But, to be honest, 9:30 market hat sich geöffnet. To be honest, they all knew that they're not women. They wanted maybe femininity, kein ungeteam wie a Frau, but I don't think they really thought they're women. You get what I'm saying? Why does Abby still need a hoo-ha? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's as if drag queens. They don't claim to be women. The real drag queens. Drag queens are. Ik denk, we vliegen een jaar plaats. Wie ze vliegt ook het zijn drag queens. The first time I ever interacted with one, they were normal people, just with weird. Weird minus ook different from me. Michigassen, but they didn't want to bring it to kids. So they didn't want to. We zoeken man aanredden jedem als zij zijn een women. Nobody wanted to do that. They knew there were men dressed in a certain way. You can't just remove it. Of course you can. Wait, are you talking about the hoo-ha? Man kan het gehedig remove. Het heißt de angioplasty or whatever we zijn is. Oh, vai, Sally. Oy, vai. Sally, is he one of the nerd friends? She was a colleague. But she was a nerd. You're saying in a different nerd family. This is Cesar Girl. Wow, so literally nicht du kann movers. Sind nicht du kann movers. Mit nitzen dem Hoover. Brooklyn, was met dit is, maar like, ze weer de lining van innenweinig. Ze weer de reverse osmosis. Put it nicely. Yeah, you gotta maintain it. Ze weet de ganze procedure. You have merch ideas for your channel? Wow, come on, let's do go nicht. What's happening, peoples? Okay, this is T-Billig. This is 40 cent. $1 ist sehr nicht, geht sie kaufen. Sie wird am Maße-Geschäft. A picture of a hand and arm holding an egg shaker. Should I hold it like this, though? Okay, no, I'm not going to do it on camera. I'll keep the silliness to myself. But Brooklyn, I remember when this whole thing started, ben ik erover gegaan van medical purposes only. Sie sehen, was geschehen and how they do it. Let's not forget, we gaan naar EMT. So, FSV kan ik nog claimen als ik was gewollt zijn for medical reasons. And they do a full situation going down there. Like literally. Ze weet verkeerd. Then there's like a whole job that they have to do. They constantly have to. You had a hatter, yeah. Did you see it? Yes. Nicht Abby. Saying in of the medical one. Sam, ich lege an a Strasche bei. I will raise the prices. Ich habe gekauft, Elon. Ich habe gesagt, if whatever, I will sell everything. Live or video? Video, not live. Brooklyn doesn't need evidence. Sadly wants evidence through Brooklyn. Don't throw your friend under the bus. But to be honest, gein fin okay, man kann nicht gein. But a Sucher, was will sich auskicken wie a Meidl, let's put it that way, is a bessere Job wie a Sucher, wie eine Kaiber will werden auskicken wie a Sucher. Sally has auch the evidence. Because a female was will werden auskicken wie a male. Darf doch eine double vasectomy, se do the... And then they have to remove, if they want to go the whole half way, darf skin graft, opnemen skin von ergens anders. And it's obviously not... Oh, just the thought of that. Removing is always easier, yes. Not advisable, no. Not even watching the video is advisable. So do in certain countries where they have these type of surgeries. I read from years ago. Bro, people are people. People are people. Ba-da-dee-da-ba, ba-da-dee-da-da. Was mit dit mit ze? Hold on, bist ready? Goonish. Ma juggled. No, they throw it away. There's nothing, some of them take it actually home. They like us around in a JAR, in a jar. You gotta crack a few eggs to make oatmeal. Fuhrt daheim mit a Brinkstruck. You know, the eggs going home with a Bing truck, and fuhrt in with a helicopter on top of the Italian job. Making sure the bags are getting home safely. But no, they throw it away, or they get rid of it, or they take it home in a jar. I know it's kind of jarring, but you gotta be... It's gonna be a convoy all week. No, we can switch. We can switch it. Jacob, good morning. Hopefully it's a good call. I mean, if she do the right thing, she putting away money, saving money, eventually she'll be able to. If she listens to Viggy, you know, she might have a try. So literally nicht do come overs besides though. What's happening? Man lijkt es daran eine Asterix Pischke. Oh, shit. I want to just stop by for coffee. That's what you're saying to us, huh? What's the story with my Waldorf Astoria mug? Ooh, Brooklyn, good eye. Good eye. Bin gewesen dort for a while. I made friends with a lot of people, with good people in New Orleans. And einer hat mir geschickt, fahr ich mal nach Hause gefahren. A present. Tulcha. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Down. Tulcha, how's it going? How's it going? Interesting story about the mug. We were off a road trip. And zurück von New Orleans, zurück zu New York. Bin ich gefahren auf a saatiger road trip. In fahren nach rausfuhren, hat man gekauft das as a present. And wenn ich bin umgekommen to New York, whatever, a couple of weeks later, hat sich zerbrochen der Kopf. So I reached out to them. Stam sagen, like, I enjoy the cup, and haben mir geschickt noch eins. You know, sometimes in life gewinnt man also kleine lotteries. And it's only like retrospect that you see it. Mein ganzer New Orleans trip gewesen a retrospect guitar lottery win. It looks like it's most probably the same company, Waldorf Astoria. One day, ich darf auch machen ein Video von mein ganzer New Orleans. Ich hoffe, es sind certain Sachen. Ich kann sagen live, ich bringe auf Pictures und ich rede wegen. I should give Yiddish financial advice. No. Wo weiß ich für financial advice? Ich kicke meinen eigenen Teller und es ist nicht so geht. Es ist just certain things kann man sagen, you know what I mean? Schöne Mandel ist dein bester Freund. Nice. I like to hear that. I buy a shot glass every new country I go to. You know, ich gehe von dem. No, I didn't buy this. I got this from the oilum there. ADTX, sie geworden in Holt. Sie keinem's nicht Volt. ADTX, sie gegangen auf Hold. Ich hoffe, get nicht kein Fold. Es ist der highest leading gainer und bei 620 darf ich kaufen. Lass mir aber nicht kaufen. Sie gaat zich even maar even auf Hecher. Hadn't flown since COVID. And you're still jet lag? What's going on? Ich will warten für den Dippel. Yeah, the Shmis mit Shulam is for members only as of now. Izzy, good morning. Hello and welcome. Sam, ich fühle wie die Wohnstärke ist wie in einem Basement, viel mit padded walls. Gibst du shit aus, huh? Ba-da-bam, bam, bam, piri, 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 piri. Wait, Sally, you didn't go for your brisk walking? What is this? Okay, baut ein Stück Flag, du. It's cold. Izzy, wie bist du? Ja, sehr, sehr kalt. Where are you? Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait, Sally, for the ruhige Wett, for the zimmerdige Tag. Ich habe gekauft ein bisschen zu hoch, der ADTX, to be honest. Canadian vibes here. Oi, wei. In Monroe is also cold? In Monroe is mijn IB kalt. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Please. Don't come for me in my house. Hold on, I'm waiting. Good. Hold on. Aber ich habe mit Sie free? Yes. Aber geht gedreht? No. Not gonna lie. But it's a green day. So I'll take it. So I'll take it. A green day I'll take. Hold on a second. I'm actually sitting in my car at Starbucks, smoking a joint, and I have Viggy vibe on blast. Oh, nice, Sam. Kill. Did you hike the taxes? Shake it. Sam Lebo, there you go. The oilem is midir. The oilem is midir. Who is watching today for Splashdown in Florida at 4 p.m.? Welke Splashdown? What am I missing? Brooklyn, kom eraan, Kloer. Organic weed, very healthy. Definitely healthy. One of the healthiest situations. Nice lake video. Thank you, thank you. Es ist geschehen, also bedieved ist es geschehen. By the way, weil die Menschen sagen, oh, smoked, wieso heißt das, weil es ist organic. Sag ich, ja, keiner sich noch ist ungewischt mit Poison Ivy. Weil es ist organic. You get what I'm saying? Oh, die Reds finden the capsule? The capsule is already coming back? Wow, wee-wah. Okay. Mit den Astronauts, huh? Mit den Stock-Astronauts. Wie sind sie da erkannt? I'll show you organic. It's coming down to 175. Your opinion is by 175? Lass mal schnell sehen, deine Opinion. Mit schnell bauen auf dem Opinion. Mit machen a Kinien. 175 ist ein bisschen zu nicht. Nein, ist ein bisschen zu niedrig. Ob sie brecht. Ob sie war mit 218, kann es umkommen zu 171. I got you. I see what you're saying. Ausgelöscht alle Noise. Mit der Riemen laufen mit der Boys. It's actually möglich. I see what you're saying. Sam, it's nicht kein financial advice. Jeder soll herankicken in seinen Teller. Alright. Und wieso die Menschen haben nicht keinen Teller? Space is actually sehr intriguing. It makes us feel small. It makes us feel big. It makes us feel איך אומרים? Wow, ob ich das gut gedreht? Absolutely nicht gut. But 620 you gewinn a order, but es hat mich auch verreisen. So. Soll er gern kaufen a Teller? CG sucht doch so gut. Yes, Brooklyn, I agree. Great move, great move. He's doing a lot of great moves. The Weg, wieso ich weiß, he's doing great moves, is, wenn sich wo der Noise ist. Hit nicht kein Noise, walkt around and like, we gotta do something. We gotta wake him up. Yes. Sind raufgefahren. In etwas gewesen a leak mit der capsule. In wat ze gewollt, they only had to go up for a month or so. In SpaceX gewesen ready to go bringen, but it wouldn't have been such a political good move. So, ze haben gesagt, nein, just imagine. The Gitter administration was kehrt vader. Nicht als Trump kehrt mehr, but at least Warum hat ihm ugeteen? The moves he makes helps us. He left them in the space center, yeah, in the ISS, nicht just floating around in space, twirling their thumbs. They were in the space center. I mean, the ISS. Boeing hat nicht gewollt. Boeing hat beglaubt nicht gewollt. Meaning to say, Boeing hat nicht gekannt. Yoni Cohn. Good morning. This is the kind of problem with Boeing. Do the opposite of what I do and you'll be rich. Yes. So every day there was invert Jim Cramer. They trade inversely. Ich habe gehad durch die Yellow Line zu kaufen bei 620, sind oder rangegangen in Holt. Bei 613 ist hat sich geöffnet du. So, I have already lost the plot. So, ich habe es gehabt von du, der Micro Pullback, du, nicht Micro, but whatever, they pull back. Ich habe es darauf gereizt zu du. Ich habe nicht mehr Geld gegangen weiter. Go, go, go! Good morning. Hello and welcome. How's your day? How was your shorting? Nothing is really moving. There's no mover or groover here. I mean, there is a groover, but no mover. Pa pa pi pa. Oh, this I get the moving business. Numan. Groover the mover. At your service. Red day so far. I'm sorry. Sorry, go-go. But some are red and some are in bed. Laat me vragen, Abby. I'm joking. Woo! Paradiradam. Paradiradam. Bekommen das an Naht, du. Immer dicken. Das ist, wenn sich Ziesach bicken. I guess when she was 5, she gehört die Neighbor schreit von der Meidl, Abby, get your aunt over here right now. And since then, I wanted to be called Abby. Even when I was davening for the Ummah when I was 15, the name Abby constantly came up. Abby, Abby this, Abby that. Rabadi badam. The problem is with space exploration is that everything is so far. Like, man kann fuhren, für Jahren, und man kommt nicht keine Navigation. Like, the vastest spacecraft ever sent is Voyager 1 or 2. Sie sind noch nicht ergens umgekommen. It's like walking on a treadmill. Yisrael Avrumi. Hey, let's not dead name. Let's not dead name anybody. That's called dead naming. In London oder in France kann man da arresten für den dead namen. A Mensch, also meine ich. Sally, you've been there and done that. Oy vey. What type of dreams do you have, Sally? But the science is so fascinating, which is the event whether I can. Yes, science in space is crazy. Soon at McKenna traveling all the way to Mars. You never been to space, Viggy? Nope. Human realist. Hello, beautiful. No, I space out, zoekst du? Literal Izzy, not Abby. Not your favorite subject. The eerste, if you think about it, at the weg we zijn both starships. Once ze kan zich refuel, right? En ze kan alleen terugkomen land under arms. What's stopping it from going to Mars? En maar lijkt erop op hoe robots, wie heißt das? Optimus. And by the way, I remember a few years ago there were companies that haben ungeheuer actively arbeiten auf Sachen zu Mars because of Elon Musk. Und man geht umkommen quicker. Ich meine, sie gegangen von 2050 to 2030, I think. Yeah, I would love to go to space. Space is one of my bucket list. Like really, I wanna feel zero G, weightlessness, floating in the air, like we don't care. It's not like we are going to prepare. Everybody has their fair share. Whenever I zoek fair share, heer ik Biden zoek. The rich should pay their fair share. Oh, we gaan het nog gemaakt. Yep. I mean, also her body mass, binary loss, but could be they work out, so it's a bit easier. They work out in space, but they lose muscle mass and bone density. Brooklyn, hast du ever gesehen der Video, wie man sieht astronaut durch seine lange deployment? Redt zu der Kamera und geht los op de pen, lot op Sachen, was fällt erop en is die gewohnt. Sam, sind nicht dieselbe Sache wegen Heights. Two different, sind nicht du kein Fear von Heights, bist sie hoch. It's one of the organic things, Sam. She went to feel Hashem. Heart shrinks also? I mean, it is a muscle, so I'm guessing. So nicht du kann gravity, so the heart darf nicht, I guess, klappen so stark zu bringen the Blit von der Fies in der Kopf. Also nicht du kann Fies, nicht du kann Kopf. Wer redet also? Governor Newsom. So nicht du kann Blit in der Kopf, so we don't have to. Die means the Red Bull, he didn't jump from space. Get tanzen from a high altitude. Space, you don't really jump from space. First of all, the atmosphere, you get burnt up. The views are sick, yeah. Man sieht auch het humanity. Ik heb even gezien de picture van de pale blue dot. Van, could be from Voyager, actually. En Carl Sagan had gezocht op die data. Als jeder eine was hat ever gelift, jeder pain, jede Sache is ever gewesen auf dem ball. I get Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan was on the wagon. Well, you hadn't sleep kind of roller coasters. Don't understand a word. Oh, why? Von was verstehst du nicht? Schon viel härter. Oh, why? Yeah, Sally. That's what everybody wants to know. And if you say no, we're all lying. We're all lying. We're all lying through our pipes. Through our plumbing system, we're lying. Wow, ich gelost Geld auf den Tisch. Not gonna lie. Ich gelost Geld auf den Tisch. Jeden Tag reg ich mich. Viggy, I hope you're also putting some long-term stock. Man darf doch oben mit was. So wie einer sagt, buy the dip. Fragt mit was? It's a male thing. I mean, she wouldn't know, would she? A woman would never understand how we feel. It's funny that die Zukte is Brooklyn because women are usually in the feely way more than the men. And they wouldn't know how we feel. Taruganov zan stil. He might be a little keel. Walking with high heels. Okay, I would say that. But it doesn't work in the right way. What do you mean? She drinks through her ear. It's a joke. Yeah, how do you know, Yoni? Yoni, everybody's looking into this comments like, how do we know? How do you know, Yoni? Kom maar aan met meer klure information, Yoni. How do you know what's going on? Is it going by the inspection? See wat komen de CEO? Huh? Sam, komt eraan kloor. Sam, mach's goed, ik vind niet hem. Okay. For an example, Apple went up 41%. Yes, Yankee T, but dat hoeven we ze liken in de Apple. You get what I'm saying? Bij mijn hart ze liken in de Apple. Kan men direct neem knappel. She said that during the interview with Nachi. I see what you're saying. It was ze arbeid niet de richtige weg. Like, did she do something for it or not? Oh, could be the how you doing? The medicine that she's on makes it weak. That bodysuit. Sadly, we don't care about dresses. We're not transgender women. Because of the hormones. Yeah, I figured the hormones is machen es schwach. So is it just... Okay. So I guess when they go into the room and it's frisky night, it's just hanging out there. Be like, don't mind me. Get Tatiun sunglasses and be like, all right, you guys do your thing. Exactly, Yankee T. I agree with that. I do agree. Long-term investing is the Zach. Dividends, Rikbakiman. So take it off. Gyms, darf going to the Viggy do the Murray show. Take it off. Yeah, but you're a real Sally. You're a woman. You would care about dresses and stuff. Oh, we care about plumbing. No, we just want to know if he had the balls to take off the balls. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Come on. It's weird. It's a weird. I'm not gonna lie. And by the way, Sally, we don't really care. Lass mal das nehmen. Wenn eine Frau sieht, eine zweite Frau geht mit ihr favorite dress and whatever, wird man the mood change. A man doesn't care about the plumbing. If he comes in a conversation, we talk, we ask. Man geht weiter. Der Mensch, wo steht bei der Drill oder auf der Leiter, kehrt nicht. Sally, you would never understand. We do care. No, we don't. We don't care. Why would we care? Why would we care? Als hat consciously gegangen und schlicht zoom in the garbage. Who gives a rattle? If you take care of your petzl, that's up to you. Nobody's forcing you. You can't come cry later. You know. Oh my God, what did I do? Took off my hoo-ha. Someone slides in. Schild. Wie sucht man? Die werden den ganzen erschrocken. Sam. Die werden den ganzen erschrocken. Like, what's happening? What's happening? Is this a woman thing? He's mansplaining, Sally. He's mansplaining. All right, I'll be back in a minute. What? Do we have a guy still thinking? Hello and welcome. Zogt, he clearly has a shtickle. A schmeckle. Alright, I guess I have a steckle. No, Brooklyn, I really don't believe. Sally Trans, what did I miss? Chas v'shalom, zoekt er. It's very hard to figure out a woman's brain. Is there a brain, Brooklyn? We should start the question off like that. Is there a brain to begin with? Did anybody see it? Do we have any evidence? Still thinking. Thinkingly? Nein. Still thinking. Wow. Mise Weise. Wie checkst du hier an? Welcome. Eerst moeten we met noemen. Van welke part van de wereld? Easy zoekt it's not so hard. Oi bye. Women say men have it better. All right. I love sounding, but thanks anyways. Papira para para, papira para para. Agreed, Yoni. It's all genetics. But daarvoor hebben they mean a conversation. What makes a woman and what makes a man a man? And once you have that baseline, you can work off towards that. Wel, maar gaat eraan, gender in this. And by the way, this is on this. In World War II op mijn verbrand books vindt transgenders, by the way. I'm gonna kick that on in the visa this. All right. So 10:20. The question is here, so yet a review on. There are rare genetics. Okay, Yoni, in everything there's always. I'd rather be on time. Sam is loose today. Okay. Kil adatoni. Erais nachi. Oh, så me do. Ai, vai. Yeah. Can man create a human?
When did you feel that?
Hold on, when did you feel? De eerste question me vraagt daar female. Alright. Gevre. So had 15,000 views one day ago. The comments are extremely a lot of fun, I would say. But yet again, van me vangt toen wil ik zeggen als we dat maken eigenlijk tussen Michigassen. Wus is Michigassen en wus is too much Michigassen, if you get what I'm saying. So, ob sie Michigassen ist, verstehen wir das nicht. Doesn't mean we need to stop them. The question is is it age restricted? This will be my question. Is it heger 18 are you talking about or lower? Wie 18? Sally's leaving now? No, don't leave. I mean, you can leave. Well, you know.
Not a male, that you're a female.
Unfortunately, my parents, by their own decision, have stopped talking to me.
What do you say to a chusa that wants to do a transition?
For me, it was I either transition or I have no idea if I'm going to be alive in a year.
That's not true, but okay.
Get it?
Do you agree that Israel had to respond after such an attack?
No.
No? They should stay quiet?
Not the way they... I didn't say stay
Do you
quiet.
think this...
All right, let's go. The bodysuit.
What does Abby Stein and Natura Carta have in common?
If you ask me, very, very little. Here's the thing, and I will admit to something.
Okay, koiden nerveus. Koiden nerveus. We can zijn de vies schakelt zich. En is kan negative, is kan negative.
Publicly that I don't think I've ever admit.
Let me get the barf bag out. Okay, everybody, get the barf bags. Get the stuff ready. Let's go. Let the trash talk begin. Sadly, no, not really. Let's not trash talk like that. Laat me eens trash talken. Laat me heren point by point by point. Okay, let's do that. Let's not get all cuckoo because of... Laat me eens aanleggen in een ganze box, okay? Laat me eens keepen... Shh.
There have been several rallies over the past 16 months where I either said no because they were there, or where I asked, and that has happened. There's some videos that people can find online where if I tell you in advance, you might know that I ask people to do that, where I had people, friends, and people that I knew kind of create almost a mechitza, let's say, a wall between me and them. Look on photos and try to find a photo. Videos you might be able to find if they zoom out, but try to find photos of me standing next to them.
But don't you believe in the same thing they believe?
Almost on nothing, because here's the thing, it's something that I kept telling people over the past 15 months in my community, as in like in progressive Jewish communities and progressive communities as well, but I mostly work with
By the way, the
Jewish communities.
By the way, Trump had hem ook gezegd, de ikke problem in summer is the progressive Jews. Zij zijn the worst. She does not look like a woman at all. Women don't have to look, Jim. I know women that look like men.
That when all this is over, I don't feel like...
Come on, it's matching. It's matching the phone case. Sally, please get with the program. It's the earrings pointing out LGBTQ plus phone, okay?
The time for it, but when all this...
And by the way, the misguy mit pink, huh? And by the way, when a guy different z als z, don't just... Shh.
Over,
Irrelevant.
Of everything. I want to take some time to educate our people on what I really think about Natura Carta, but not just what I really think. I think we also need to remember what they really think, and this is very important to me. We know, growing up in Williamsburg, I think we have known some people.
Ga gewoon eens changen, CG, but ga eens trying to jede move en ga je zoeken, whatever happens, happens, en ze komt uit and yeah.
Some cousin.
Her hand gestures are pink to the view. Daar hebben we
or people that I know through like family and marriages and so on, who I know really well, who are part of Natura Carta, including one specifically, without saying names, who shows up at a lot of those rallies. I know what those people really believe, which is that they don't care about Palestinians. I think you and I both know that. Like they care of it only as an ends to a means.
I think I disagree with Natura Carta, and I disagree with certain things that you think too. So I don't think we can agree on the same.
Not on the same, but do you think that they really care about Palestinians as opposed to they really care about destroying Israel?
Hold on.
They think
Sie keert ja for the Palestinians? How do we know that? How do we know? Because zij zoeken dezelfde zaak.
Palestinians are a means to an end.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't care what they think. That's the truth. That's my truth.
Obviously, I have
That's
issues
my
with
truth.
sexism. I have issues.
Ze arbeidt nicht so, hè? My truth, ze doet the truth. Oder is het samen oder nicht? Ze doet my truth.
The way they do almost everything else in the world. But more importantly, I don't think the place where they're coming from is coming from a place where, we really care so much. Albeit I think they care to some extent. And I do think they think that what Israel is doing in terms of killing, which is not just them. I mean, even the Aida Cheredis, for example, has put out a letter not soon after October 7th saying similar stuff, where like they think that because they don't believe Israel as a state has a right to exist, quoting from the Aida Cheredis, they don't think that Israel has a right to kill from even an halachic point of view. And that's not Natura Carta. And
What do you mean? Op einde komt die hargen en tust die jenen mich hargen? and they came clearly to kill.
That way, yes, they have a bit.
Izzy, have a lovely and awesome day.
Have a bit where they care, but most of them see Palestinians as a means to reach the end goal, which the end goal is they believe Mashiach can't come until Israel is destroyed, and so on.
All right. Are you an activist in the Free Palestine movement?
Now, short answer is yes. And I'm
What
saying
does it
this.
mean? What means being an activist in the Free Palestine?
There we go. Okay. I don't think countries have rights. And this has nothing to do with Israel or Palestine or the US or any other country in the world. My political philosophy, which is something I studied, my undergrad degree was in political science, and I read quite a bit. I'm not saying I'm the most educated person on the planet at all. I don't think I'm the smartest person, but my personal beliefs is I don't think countries have rights.
So who
I
has
think
rights?
people have rights. I think individual people have rights. Now,
Is it because of your personal life story?
we'll get to that. But what is important to me is because a lot of people will say that that's a distinction without a real, like you're saying something. You're saying you think people have rights and not countries, but in reality, people come together to form a country. But I think to me, that was what I would call a light switch moment. Have you ever heard that term where like you flip on a switch and your worldview changes? For me, coming to a realization that the second you look on this as every individual person having immutable rights, the conversation becomes very different versus when it's a conversation of us versus them,
Yeah, but
Israel versus
you
Palestine.
have a major, like a big Free Palestine movement.
Yes.
So you can't really be busy with individually what, you know.
Good
No,
one.
but to me, when
Good one. Er sagt, du bist busy, as soon as du a Sache wie a collective, in jeder is individual, but du guys to join on a Free Palestine movement.
I say Free Palestine, I mean because that is what it means
But
to me.
that's not what people think or see.
No, that is what most people should see, and I think what most people think. Because like I have never, like for example, everyone loves to say, "Oh, you love Hamas," mostly because I'm ideologically a pacifist. I don't support violent groups no matter what. I don't think Hamas should be around. I don't think the IDF should be around. I don't think the U.S. military should be around.
Oh, so man geht leben in La La Land. Man darf ich kein Militär. Jeder eine geht Team was. Like, since we know we fight.
That's a longer conversation.
Yeah,
I'm ideologically.
Se du ideas, man kann leben in Zetopia-Welten, but noch damit du reality, noch damit du dein neighbor, dann, so weird.
Pacifist, and I think as much possible we should avoid violence in every way and form. I also don't think that there's ever a scenario where hurting innocent people is justified, no matter what. You're gonna try to, but I think these are important things to point out.
Okay.
So
Aber bei einer behält sich, bei innocent people, darf man lassen die einem leben?
I'm saying this is because it's very easy for people, and I think specifically in our world and where we come from, like even more so in Orthodox, I find in Orthodox communities, and by Orthodox I don't just mean Hasidic, I mean Orthodox as a whole, including modern Orthodoxy, and in a lot of different Jewish communities, it has been developed as in like Free Palestine, or Palestine generally means one thing, while those same people would be the people who would be very careful of splitting the Israeli political everything into 10 different groups. The same people who would say that when you say Free Palestine, it means you support everything like Hamas or even some radical groups within Hamas, because Hamas itself is involves political groups, involves some militia groups that are more like some the groups, for example, that had the bodies of the Bips family, were like a radical like group within Hamas, and then there's the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and then like there's all those different groups who don't even agree with each other. But what's important to realize, that's not, when I say Free Palestine, we're not talking about those groups anymore, that when you say, which is something that I personally wouldn't say, but when you say like Israel has a right to defend itself, the vast majority of people in the US aren't talking about Israel has a right to do everything Ben Gvir is saying that he wants to do. And people understand this. People tend to fully understand this when it's quote unquote your side, but not when it's the other side. And that's important.
All right. Do you see anti-Semitism in the Free Palestine movement?
Introducing memorial.
There's any hatred that is uniquely, I hate Jews for the sake of being Jews. I do think that there is a bit of, even though that has gotten better, one of the few things that has gotten better since October 7th in the Free Palestine world, in the world that's fighting for Palestinian liberation, is
Liberation So zij zijn een ja-groep, ze is individual.
Way stronger awareness between Judaism and Zionism, Israel, and the Jewish people. We can disagree. A lot of people disagree on that distinction.
disagree, but okay.
But in
Good
the
one.
Palestinian liberation movement, I have never seen before such an awareness for that.
All right. Do you agree that there's a lot of legit anti-Semites that are hiding behind the word against Zionism?
100%. There are people who are using anti-Zionism, including, even though they're mostly people in the Western world, they're mostly like Christians. And
Brooklyn, get with the styles, okay? Jetzt is the Taita in the Zach, okay? She's a girl, she's rocking her style.
white people, though not always. There are people of every background who do that. But to give a random name, one of the worst people on Twitter, Jackson Hinkle. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes.
You're going to say Kanye West, but okay.
Kanye West.
Kanye West is a loser. As in, draait stam über, but Jack Hinkle, gefuhren wie heißt das, Iran. Is a gross anti-Semite.
Kanye West, he's pro-Palestine? I don't even know if he's pro-Palestine.
He's against Jews. I'm not sure exactly what his...
He's just anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that.
right.
But a person like that's just a random example of a person who is a white supremacist, a self-declared white supremacist, a person who's a self-declared Christian nationalist who wants the U.S. to be a Christian country where the laws of Christianity control everything, who has leaned into, as far as I know, only since October 7, into the anti-Zionist and pro-Palestinian movement, 100%. But I think there are people who are using anti-Zionism because they're anti-Semitic, just like there are people who are being pro-Israel because they're Islamophobic. At the same time, I don't think that most people who are anti-Zionist...
Whoa. Du mensen we zijn pro-Israel, we hebben found Muslims? I think that's a very far reach versus mensen we hebben found Jiden going against the Zionist movement.
Are doing that because they're anti-Semitic, just like I don't think that most people who support Israel are inherently Islamophobic.
How do you feel about the hostages?
I think it is unjustifiable to take any innocent person hostage. I think
Do you think the hostages need to come back today, all of them?
I think every single person should have come back on October 8th. And I think
October 8th? It shouldn't even happen on October 7th. It shouldn't even happen.
Home. I've been at many. There's a group that I'm part of called Israelis for Peace Now that meets every single Sunday.
By the way, the alle mensen was gewoond, most people was gewoond daar by the borders, zijn gewoon peaceful towards Palestine. Zij zijn gewoon the ones who machen peace, zij zijn gehaald geworden. Just FYI.
In Union Square, we still do, where we fight. It's exactly that. It's been from the beginning. It has been from the beginning to bring everyone home. I also believe, and on a pragmatic level, I think the only way they can all really come home is through a negotiated peace.
So what do you think Israel should do now?
They should continue with phase 2 of the ceasefire. Like right now, we're at a point where there's already a signed agreement that is, right now it's so easy because we already have a signed agreement that allows for phase 2 that brings all of them home. That's the point.
Hamas is a terror organization in your opinion?
Some of it is. 2023 was the war.
Ich habe gemeint, man geht rennen von der transgender situation, ist mir gefahren zu zweiter Land. But okay, we'll survive.
Year since 1967, 2023 up to October 7, the most Palestinians were killed by the IDF.
Okay, we're going to talk about
before.
So we're going to talk about it in a minute. What I wanted to ask is, you saw the way, I'm sure you saw Telegram videos.
No, I saw.
This brutal way of raping, killing, cutting off heads and fingers. So how do you call them?
They are a terrorist group just as much.
Okay.
People are going to hate this, but they're a terrorist group as much as the IDF is a terrorist.
Whoa! Hello. Gaan you said the IDF guy Tehran is not of pregnant women in raped officially. Phew.
Why?
You might not agree after with the IDF, but it's a big difference when you're a military and the pretext versus the guys Tehran in the raped mention.
Disagree.
I get it, you disagree, but why?
Because Israel is not a terrorist group.
Why?
Because Israel has a country that are trying to defend themselves.
Exactly.
And are other Palestinians allowed to?
No. Didn't they leave in 2008 or whenever they left the ganze Gaza?
Palestinians are allowed to live. Palestinians are
No,
allowed to
are
do
they allowed to
everything.
defend themselves?
They're allowed to, but they didn't defend themselves.
What do you mean they didn't defend
No,
themselves?
they went into
They
rape.
didn't defend themselves. They walked in October
Why?
7. Why? Because
No,
1967, the borders.
Not 1967. This doesn't start in 1967.
Hold on. Which right does it give you to walk in and rape innocent people?
Okay.
But
I mean, again, if Hamas would have gone in and only killed soldiers in not übergenommen basis, then I would understand. I get it. But sie sind dann just gegangen und geschossen Menschen.
I want to step back for a second. Why is so? In my personal opinion, is October 7th should not have happened, and it's unjustifiable. 100%
Can you
unjustifiable.
call it terror act?
Yes, it was. October 7th was a terror act.
Okay.
Woo! En a terror act darf man zurückgeben. Patch.
What else was a
A
terror
terrorist
act?
group.
By a terrorist group. You know
Okay.
what else was a terrorist act by terror groups? Every single time, which is something that happens, and don't believe me, but go and look it up.
Okay.
Listen to people like Breaking the Silence, for example, or listen to Israeli soldiers who are not part of Breaking the Silence, who have something, for example, that's called in Israel, which is a way of like showing we're here, making our presence known in the West Bank, where Israel goes in very intentionally to families. Sometimes there's one of them is suspected of something. Very often, it is literally. You know it just as probably as much as I do. I don't know if you're going to admit it here, but there's a thing that the IDF does in the West Bank, which is to show our presence for the sake of show.
Okay. Showing presence means, yeah, Tati Yadu. Big boy is here. Yes. Otherwise, another October 7 will happen.
Our presence, where they go in, terrorize a family, which very, very often ends just like last week, the same day that we got back the caskets, we got back in an unjustifiable way, in a horrible, gross way, we got back the Bibi's family. On the same day, Israel killed a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old in Jenin for the same reason.
By the way, the ganze Sache, we got to stop that. As a 12-year-old in the West Bank, in nicht a 12-year-old, was going to do in New York. Dort a 12-year-old can halt na gun. Dort a 12-year-old schießt a Stein. The idea as a 12-year-old is just a kid. Dorten is not true.
Showing that we're here. It is unjustifiable.
So they went in and shot 2 kids just to show. Abby.
Yes,
No.
100. They shot 2 kids because
Why didn't they rape anybody?
they found them to be in their way. But that has been happening. That's what I'm trying to say.
They found them?
They found them to be in their way. The official justification is that they were in the way of the military.
Yeah.
Who are you? By every international, even by Israeli law.
Do you know what means being in the way of the military, or you know that being
They
in the
were
way
not
doesn't
throwing
mean
anything. They were literally standing on streets that Israel.
Oh, some gegessen ice cream. I see what you're saying. And the soldier gewollt the ice cream. Got it.
declared a curfew
and Israel
on.
decided to kill them.
Because they were standing in the way and everyone is a suspect.
And okay, hear what you're saying.
This is, and
This conversation is not gonna end. That's why I'm not gonna even argue because I want to get them topics.
But I think there's something that we really need to understand here. Let me ask you one thing.
She has a wig?
How many Palestinians do you know as a friend?
I have a few Palestinian friends.
No, I'm not talking about Palestinians who live in Israel. I'm talking about Palestinians who live in Gaza, Palestinians who live in the West Bank. How many friends do you have?
I don't have.
Okay. I just spent a month living in Ramallah, by the way.
You went in Ramallah?
I was in Ramallah for a month.
When?
This August. Posted photos of it many, many times. I was in the West Bank for a month.
Do you know in Gaza, especially you don't have a way of surviving with who you are.
I know several trans people who lived in Gaza.
Yeah, do you think you were...
That's not true. That's not true. That would be the quickest elevator ride from the top of a building.
in Gaza?
Yes.
And they're called acceptance, the Hamas is hugging them.
Depending how you define acceptance.
How do they find acceptance? They accept you all the way up to the roof and then they throw you off so everybody else could accept you.
They don't throw you. That's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
You get killed. Queer people get killed by radicals and
You don't. By the way, you don't need to be gay or anything to get killed over there.
Yeah, I mean, Hamas is a right wing.
Wow, gemeint dat Israel had de meeste gay rights. Is het gegangen naar zo'n ungeteen dort nog het?
Authoritarian government, which is another issue that I have with them. Their government is a far-right authoritarian government. Everything they do, they're a theocracy by definition. They are exactly what
big words, big words, big words.
current Israeli coalition wants in Israel very openly. When you say Medinat Halacha, that's what Hamas has. The West Bank isn't. The PA isn't.
Yeah,
That's
but Medinat
exactly the same.
Halacha could be with not, killing and not
What?
killing and stabbing.
According
and
to who?
Bus attacks.
According to
One second.
Ben-Gvir and according
Not
to...
Ben-Gvir.
and
Israel's
half of the current Israeli parliament, which are Orthodox, believe in a religious state where people who break Shabbat are
what?
killed.
Bullshit.
They say it openly.
I'm telling you, yeah, Itamar Ben-Gvir is saying that if you don't keep
Itamar-
Shabbat...
Not true.
so
He
stop
actually
it.
said it about gay people. He actually didn't say it about
so
Shabbat.
if we're
He said
talking-
it about gay people.
So let's say he's extremist, okay?
He's an
But you know
extremist.
very good that the Israel law is not doing like that. The biggest
not
gay
at the
city,
moment.
one second.
Israel has moved to the right
biggest-
a lot.
The biggest gay city is where? Tel Aviv, right?
At the moment.
At the moment, okay.
Ich darf gesitzen ein bisschen mehr auf dem.
I don't know how many years. So,
Yeah.
so you
Well,
know very
not-
good that you can be gay and you can be part of the LBGTQ community and live in peace, living in Tel Aviv. And this is
Congratulations. Ik ken zijn alphabet.
the only democratic country in Middle East
That's
that you
not
can
true.
live so in peace as in Israel. So which other
You can be
where
openly gay in Beirut.
Yeah.
In Amman. I
Like Tel
studied in
Aviv.
Amman for
Like
6
Tel
weeks.
Aviv?
What do you mean like Tel Aviv?
It's very simple.
This would be like saying like in Jerusalem. Those societies are more
No,
are more
obviously you
religious.
have more different cities that are a little bit more, but I'm talking
because
about
they
generally.
are as a whole more religious. But also you have to realize the other thing in Tel Aviv is most people in Tel Aviv are also the people who show up every
By the way,
every
in Iran, I do the meeste transgender surgeries because ma hargetach van zijn gay. So ob die nemst beroep dan hoe ha, bist du nicht gay. So ma getroffen ma circumvented zij da locha. Just saying.
Saturday night protesting the government and believing that the government needs to end, believing that Bibi is a war criminal.
Okay.
So like if we start going down that road, we need to keep that in mind as well. But let me go back for a second. Hamas is a right-wing authoritarian religious theocracy, and I have an issue with that.
Group.
They are a group that commits terrorism, just like the IDF.
Whoa. Ken ich irgendwas a terrorist organization?
Just because you are a military doesn't give you the right. By dictionary definition, when you are a military, it's not called terrorism. Because countries, by international law, have the right to show their power and to use power. It is something that is a big problem in our society, where states are the only one have a unique right over violence, which is, to me, and in one of the...
Ja, but this is alles in feigele Welt. In feigele Welt hat jeder einer wohnen zusammen und mit sich tickeln. Jeder tut essen, and sits on butterflies, and sits on 71 degrees, perfect, sunny all the time, and jedem's chemicals in cup, it's on fine. Sits on waterfalls and bunny rabbits. But man lebt doch in der real world.
guiding principles of my life,
Guiding
that
principle.
states don't have a right to commit violence any more than an individual does. Not to say that individuals have the right to commit violence. No one does. I think that's what's so important. Hamas is a horrible group, and I need people to hear that and to understand that, and not to come being saying, I have zero interest in justifying Hamas.
Because you understand also a lot of people see it when you scream the Free Palestine situation. Like I said, we're not going to go in too deep to this because we have so many subjects we want to cover. So it's very important, I think people should understand that, first of all, at least this, we're going to talk about you saying the IDF is terrible. I can't even hear it.
No,
But
I
I hear what you're saying. But what I mean is, the first thing that people should understand that you're against Hamas.
Brooklyn, you want to get to the real plumbing story, huh?
100%.
Okay, so that's...
I mean, before we even get to what's hypothetically...
By the way, who should run Gaza?
I mean, Hamas, you know Hamas didn't start in Gaza. Hamas started in the West Bank, actually.
Okay,
Hamas
no.
is kind of an imported group. Well, I think it should be a there have...
By the way, Israel gegeben Geld für Hamas, was am gewollt rausnehmen der andere Party vor dem. Just saying.
been a democratic election there since 2006, and in a society where half of the population currently is under the age of 18, which means in 2006, it is about 60 or 70% of the current Gazan population weren't even of age during the last election, which is not to say that right now they don't support. I think that's another longer conversation about who people support right now during a war, which is that radical groups always, like you see in Israel right now, the right wing goes up during war. That is all, and the only country, I think, in recent history where a war didn't turn the people more right is Ukraine. I can't think of another country where that has been the case, which is a whole other issue. I mean, I think there should be really free and democratic elections in Gaza, and that they should elect. I think they can and are more than capable of electing. Israel has intentionally, it's one of the things that even people that I deeply disagree on most things, like Yair Golan and Galant and a lot of other people, have been trying to say that Bibi didn't even want to consider empowering any other local group in Gaza. There are groups.
All of them are becoming terrorists at the end of the game.
Again, we're going to go back to defining
somehow.
Somehow, if you don't give them their rights, and
they get everything, whatever they get, the worst. We gave them back. We gave them back Gush Katif. You saw what happens: tunnels and rockets.
That's not what happened. That was never supposed to happen. We should have never been in Gush Katif to begin with. That's
whatever. So you see, you're always going to blame. Whatever we give you back, we should not be there. But we gave it back.
I want to use an
exactly.
example. Yasser Arafat started out being a recognized terrorist by Israel and by the U.S. and died as the recognized first ever Palestinian leader that the U.S. and Israel worked with.
Okay.
And a bit of it, what happened was Yitzhak Rabin and his government, and I have a lot of issues with Yitzhak Rabin. I'm not going to forget that he was part of that did a lot of stuff in 1948 and 1967, which is a whole other conversation. But a lot of it had to do of giving them it's not even giving them something that they don't deserve, but literally letting them control their own things. And they managed more than something. I mean, now the PA is super corrupt, but a lot of that has happened since Arafat passed away and even before. And even though we all, and like I have issues with what Arafat has done, similar to I have issues with a lot of people on the Israeli side, like I have issues with
Sounds like we got sach issues.
People have done, but it is possible.
Are you a proud Jew, and what does it mean to you?
In my conscious mind, today, I am prouder to be a Jew than I ever was in my entire life, even as a child. Even
what does
in the
it mean
community.
to you?
To me, being a Jew means several things. The most important one, it means being part of at least 3,000-year-old tradition of people who have looked on what I would say, pardon, I don't know if you need to bleep it out, but people who have looked on a fucked up world and tried their best to make sense of it. I think at the core, it's what Judaism is, it's what the Torah is.
What do you mean? There's any andere riesige, große, kleine, pitchy religion. It's not unique to Yiddishkeit.
It's what the Talmud is. It's what throughout history it has been. And one of the most beautiful things is that they actually wrote it down. And we can look back on them and we can study that. We can engage with it.
This is most probably weil ze do 2-3 Blätter ergens wie, wo steht wegen Sucher ne Kaiwa. So man kann halten der ganze Buch. Wenn sie so jetzt wegwerfen der Buch und sagen, so gut nicht wert, weil ich kann sagen, es steht immer sagt das so und so, das und das. So darf man behalten der ganz alles in order to können bringen proof.
Do you believe in God?
What does believe mean and what does God mean?
I'm asking you explain.
Okay. The reason why I ask that question is because I feel like that every person has a different idea what it even means to believe. And every person has a different idea of what God means. If you're asking me, do I believe in the God that I grew up with, and I imagine that you also grew up with, if that's the God, I'm 100% an atheist and proud of it.
What does it mean?
I call that God the boogeyman in the sky.
That's not God. That's the way we grew up.
Exactly.
But I don't think that... Okay, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. At the same time, the way I define it, and I get asked this question a lot.
Sally, peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your day.
To an idea of God... that I think an idea that...
Das ist auch das Problem. Man fängt an werden älter in Krieger oder whatever man will es riefen. Jeder einer legt daran seine eigene Version of Sachen. Dies, Jens, meint nicht dies, meint nicht... Der regende Geist da weg von wo dann Tate gesagt, ist over. Noch gibst du auf mit deiner eigenen Kaka.
People have called God for a lot of history. I call that the sum total of all there is. We even have a song in Renewal Judaism, which is, "You are the source of life for all there is," and which actually is based
Don't quit
on
your day job.
I would call it a neo-Hasidic version because I don't think the Hasidic text literally meant it in the way I mean it today, but it's based on their ideas, which is that everything in the world is God. And I'm not talking about Natsoitzes here. I'm not talking that everything in the world has a spark of God. We're talking that God is a word that we use to relate.
The question is, was ich wollte gefragt, do you believe in God? Meaning to say, does God have a whereabouts of everything? Is it like a thing that is aware and controls and writes and does things? Herschel, hello and welcome. Stam, ja, beschef versus a butterfly, se kicked field gits is man heiße coffee in the free.
to the sum total of the universe. Like
All right,
when
does he exist? Is it
it's no
is it
longer
something?
it's no longer a question of
something-
existence.
right.
It's a question of reality now, of course. Like I think there is something that unifies everything that exists in the world. To me, one of the scientific. I have a mentor who wrote a book. I can look it up. It's called Radical Judaism. Even though I have some issues with him now related to sexual,
Whoop. More issues.
not my own, but other people. It's a longer conversation, but he uses a scientific example for that, which is that when you break down things, everything in the world, everything from this couch that we're sitting on to you to every cell of your body boils down to atoms that are the exact same thing. And depending how many protons and nutrients they have, they make up different things. But at the core, everything literally is the same. Or another example that I use is the butterfly effect, which is the fact that I just picked this up and moved it here. Could be it's not going to do anything, but it's very possible I just created a new animal that's going to be created in 1 billion years from now. It's possible. In that way, if this is what you call
Zijn face is een ganzen, wie heißt das? Ich habe gemeint, der Butterfly-Effekt ist, als wenn ein Butterfly ergens in Japan riecht sich und create lift, hat dann a tornado somewhere in the andere Seite von der Welt. That's what I thought the butterfly thing is. I never heard this version.
or in some way, I would say it's let's call it a neo-Kabbalistic idea of hoyu hoive v'yiyah, haya hove v'yiyah. Everything that was, everything that is, and everything that will be. I think
Hold on, daar wordt zich ook gechanged. Wenn man geht auf die alle hormones, es geht weg. What's happening?
is something that unifies all of it. And I think that throughout history, we people have called it God. We have had in Judaism alone, literally in Kabbalah, you got like hundreds of names for God.
Aber was ist Kabbalah? Du bist aufgewachsen in Kabula. What is this?
We've had different names for it. But at this moment, it's not no longer if I believe in God, it is this idea of God that I relate to.
Got you. What's your position with still gefilte fish, Hasidic stuff that you had in the past?
The problem with gefilte fish is that people don't make it alone at home and they don't make it out of salmon.
So you still love it,
I love a good salmon gefilte fish, but this is very important. You need to make it at home. You need to make it out of salmon. You need to cook it with a fish head that is very clean. You need to really clean the fish head first. Then take a raw. It can be cooked in advance. It can't come out of a jar. I tell people a lot nowadays, I don't really believe in hell anymore, but whoever invented jarred gefilte fish is never getting out of hell because that thing is gross. But what you need is a homemade salmon gefilte fish really cooked with a real salmon. And the other thing you need to do is all of these Ashkenazi Jews need to take a page out of my Jerusalem grandmother's cookbook and add some flavor. You know the Moroccan salmon?
Oh, it's delicious.
Take the spice mix that you use for Moroccan salmon, add this to the zaft, to the fish zaft when you cook gefilte fish.
All right.
It's the best combination of Mizrahi and Ashkenazi Judaism you're going to find. Okay.
I'm looking at your face on the gefilte fish reactions.
But this is the thing. Add some flavor to it.
All right, the flavor. What is the best ritual, minig, you have from the past?
Ooh, I just realized that this is where minig and ritual actually don't necessarily align, because when we talk about minig, we think about it mostly as an optional thing, as opposed to ritual.
No, I'm talking about, you know what I mean, dichenen, talking about anything.
Yeah. My favorite,
your favorite, man.
lighting Shabbos candles. I haven't missed one in over 10 years.
Really?
And the reason for that, and this is something very interesting, and I want people, because this is me going to be maybe a rabbi for a second, but I'm going to say it in 30 seconds quickly. I started doing it not for religious reasons at all. 10 years ago, so after I left, for about 2 years, I was kind of, 2012, 2014. And then I knew that I'm trans, I knew that I have to transition, but I wasn't ready for it, and I was clinically depressed.
Okay.
I'm talking about it, I'm open about it. I've thankfully been in therapy for 10 years, and I haven't had any about it in 10 years. But more importantly, at the time, I was using alcohol to hide it. I was addicted, still an addict, and I was drinking alcohol nonstop. And then Hanukkah 2014 is when I became sober. And the 6 months after that, before I was ready to transition, were the worst 6 months of my life. I was in bed for almost the whole time. I was in college at the time. I would wake up, I would go to class, come home, eat, and not talk to anyone. It was a horrible time. And I really needed something for mental health reasons to break up my week. And I chose lighting candles, not because I thought there was a boogeyman in the sky that wants me to light candles, but because it felt like a good way to say the week has ended, the weekend has begun. And
Amazing.
It was so helpful. And it was only a few years later that I came back to realize that this is literally what Shabbos is about to begin with. But at the time, it was a mental health practice.
What do you say to a chusa that wants to do a transition?
Unfortunately, you live in a world where that is impossible. I wish.
You did it.
Oh yeah. Oh, but you can't stay Hasidic. That's the
No,
problem.
I'm asking, like, if
Oh,
there's
if there
How could you stay Hasidish? Geist ga weg, wees ga vrouw. No? Isn't that...
a guy
Yes.
lives in Borough Park on Williamsburg and he wants to do a transition. What is he doing?
First
How is
step.
it?
First step. Find a therapist. And what we call a gender affirming therapist, but the first step is a therapist. It's the most important step. You can reach out to me and I can send you some links. I unfortunately can't work with every person individually, but I can send you a link. I will suggest right here, if anyone cares, 2 trans health clinics. One of them is called Callan Lord. One of them is called Apicha. You can find gender affirming therapists there, and that's always the first step. You need to go to a therapist. But the first thing you should do is talk to a therapist.
If you can change something from your childhood, what would you do different?
I would have left at 15 and transitioned. If that counts. I've spoke without mentioning his name, I don't know, but we're in the room here with someone who I went to yeshiva with. I don't know if he wants to say his name, so we're not going to say his name.
Okay.
But one of the things, and it kind of came up, but when I went
I
to...
wanted to talk about that.
When I
about
went
yeshiva.
to, yeah, so when for Yeshiva Gedoyle, as we would say, like the second part from age 15, I went to Vishnitz in Gibber. So my family has a long history.
Ich verstehe schon alles. Ich verstehe schon alles. Gangen zu Gibbers. Do we need to say more?
Like originally my family was hardcore. They literally come from Vishnitz. Like my father's father's father was born in Vizhnitsia, in the village of Vishnitz in Ukraine. I've been Vishnitz Chassidim from the beginning.
So let's talk about the yeshiva. How did it all started? Like, I heard you were a very, very good boy in yeshiva. In terms of Talmud Chochem. You were learning very, very, like, I don't know how to say it, flassig.
What's Gibbers? It's upstate New York. Vishnitz get-together place. Not get-together. They live there. The yeshiva is there. It's like a little town. I don't think it ever worked out, really.
And you know a lot. You learned a lot. How did it all happen?
What part? That I learned a lot, or that
When did you feel that you are not a male, that you're a female?
Best example that I have for that, something that I felt physically, that I'm not going to get naked here, but I still have physical signs of it.
There you go, Brooklyn. There you go. She just said it.
That I felt physically, that I'm not going to get naked here, but I still have physical signs of it. When I was 4, in the bathtub, my mom used to have safety pins. It's in my books, I don't mind saying this publicly. My mom used to have safety pins on the vanity in the toilet. And I was 4. I'm not saying it was logical, but I would take the safety pins and prick. I think you can all guess which part of my body, thinking that if I prick it enough, it's going to fall off.
Are you telling me a 4-year-old was hurting the piece because that's going to make you a girl? 4-year-old. I would rather guess a dress oder wollen sein wie die Schwester. A 4-year-old doesn't know. That doesn't make you a girl or a boy.
That is the first conscious memory that I have. I was also told that I put up a fit during my Upsharen when I was 3.
Who doesn't? Most kids do. Man hat lange große Haar and all of a sudden kommt man mit der machine. What is this? Oh, wait. Jeder einer, was tanzt bei der Upscheren, ist will sehen am Idol?
Literally screaming, why could my sisters have long hair and I
Yeah,
can't?
okay, that doesn't make you want to
but
be a girl.
That's not something I remember. There were several other things that I heard and whatever, but the thing that I very
You remember?
clearly remember is when I was 4, trying to use safety pins to take off a body part. And then that existed throughout my life.
Why would that body part make you, by 4-year-old, a jingle oder a Idol?
I have a prayer. It's going to be in a play that's opening in a month, actually, that everyone could come to watch. If you need a discount, message me. I can get discount codes for cheap people. But it's in there. There's a prayer that I wrote. I still have the sheet that I wrote when I was 9 years old that I would say every night before. So we don't say Hamapel. That's a long story. My mom's a Tanzanite. They don't say Hamapel. Long story.
Okay.
So basically, instead of Hamapel, instead of that blessing that people say after the Shema before going to bed, I said a blessing that I would end with Budichatu Adonai Shel Sani Kirtzoinoi, for those, let's say, the modern Hebrew,
You
which
used
is
to use that?
Shel Sani Kirtzono.
What age?
When I was 9, not during morning, during Brechot HaShachar, I couldn't break the rules. But at night, I wrote a whole prayer in Yiddish.
This is some twisted. Shulam. Good morning. That's just twisted. Het nicht gesagt, Kerzoinai. Why would he say that? And noch wenn Jingle. Like, I would understand if he gesagt, I want to. So,
Which I was like, because the way we grew up, like, God could do anything, right? We were told there's nothing,
Right.
it's too hard for God. And I said it for about a
du wollt er gehen hacker an. Wait, do you believe that now? That God could do whatever he wants?
year every night.
Going
that
back to the previous
I want to
question.
wake up as a girl. At the time, that was my idea. I want to wake up as a girl.
So the transition happened later in your life.
Way later.
When did it happen? How did it happen?
Okay, so like I mentioned when I was 15. So before I went to yeshiva in Gibbers and Vishnitz, I actually got kicked out from the yeshiva that I was before that, which gets even more intense when you realize that yeshiva was run by a great uncle of mine who doesn't have kids, who my parents are very close. It was basically my third grandfather. And I was so bad that I got kicked out for that. And that was a time when I basically didn't believe in anything. And I was I wouldn't say I got to the point where I didn't believe in anything. Let's just say rather I was questioning everything. And a lot of it had to do with that. And I remember that moment when it hit me around the time of my bar mitzvah that I can't trust anything I'm being told, because the same people who told me everything about God and about Yiddishkeit, about Judaism, also tell me that I'm a boy.
Dit is alles bij de bar mitzvah? Whoa.
At the same time, you're also learning and also being a Talmud Chacham. So how does it work?
What happens is in 2015, not 2015, when I was 15, I meet a rabbi that a lot of people know, but then with Yitzhak Moshe Erlanger.
Okay.
I think my dad was at the time aware that I'm going through a lot. My dad got me a private appointment with him. I sat with him one Lail Shishi. It was Lail Shishi. I remember the exact time when it was. Anyway, 1 week, he was in Williamsburg in a basement, and I sat with him for 4 hours, telling him a lot of my questions, a bit about gender, but not a lot.
What age was that?
I was 15.
Okay.
And I was at a time where I was questioning everything. I didn't tell him in that many words, but I was already convinced that the world isn't 5,700, whatever, 70 years old.
What are you convinced now?
I'm convinced that we can literally see things that are 13 billion light years away, which means that as far as evidence goes, we have some of the strongest evidence that the world is billions of years old.
Okay, fine. Back to the subject.
That's not a quick matter.
We shouldn't get lost now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But one of the things that he told me is he gave me like an intro. He has a book called Shiva Einayim, which is an intro to Kabbalah, and it got me into.
Was it the idea of sound Israeli with a different avura? What is this?
And one of the first things, things that I found then, and I started studying Sha'ar HaGilgulim from Reb Chaim Vital. And it's there, and everyone can look it up in chapter 9. He has a line that translates to, at times, female reincarnated in the body of a woman. A woman will reincarnate in the body of a man.
Okay.
And that was the moment that for me was like, okay, I guess there's something here that makes sense for me, and I got really into it. And that is what kept me really going for 4 years.
You still got married.
Because I was very at the time I believed it.
But you knew already what's going on, but you still continued.
I thought it was my soul and my body, and that's what I have to do. Like, that's I believed, at the time, I believed in Kabbalah in a literal sense. I believed in everything that we were studying, and I believed that in order to correct...
I thought you were questioning and not believing. How did... What? All right.
So there's that Sha'ar HaGilgulim that I mentioned, that Chaim Vital goes into a long detail, a whole thing about the tzoitzes and a whole thing about different genders, the different souls and different bodies, and how you need to get married. There's a Zohar also that I found at a time that talks about how every person needs to when you get married, you're able to balance your masculine and feminine. I truly believe that that's going to go away. I truly believe that that's what I need to do.
So you thought
Penny.
that it's something temporary?
I thought it was going to go
Hello
away.
and welcome.
Yeah, and I thought that basically the reason I'm feeling that is because I don't have this Kabbalistic balance between masculine and feminine, between Kitche Berichi Shchentai, which is ultimately masculine and feminine. I was convinced that I don't have the balance, and when I get married, I will find that balance and everything is going to be okay.
Okay.
Obviously, that didn't happen.
So I guess you got married and then you did the transition?
A few years later. So basically what happened for me, my breaking point was my son's bris. Literally, and I remember my son's bris was also in a unique place. So
Is gekommen laufen mit der Barbie-Pin?
in Vishnitz, the community I was in, we always did the bris by the Rebbe. So wherever the Rebbe is, and if the Rebbe wasn't home, at the time he was in Deal, New Jersey. It was one of the only times he went on vacation. And so we took the bris there. And he was actually very in the mood. It was very good. My ex was basically a granddaughter of the previous Vishnu Rebbe. So he was like very into it, and he was very in a good mood. And I'm sitting there, and I remember my dad is there, my dad is like standing next to my dad. The Rebbe is holding my son, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? How am I doing this extremely gender thing? Because a bris is like as gendered as it gets. How am I doing this to my child when I have no idea who I am? When maybe it's genetic. That's another thing that it's not. I know now that it's not, but I thought maybe it's genetic. How the fuck am I doing this?
And this is where like
Wait, hold on. Gegangen den ganzen crazy, weil sie kennen sein, a der Jingle will sein am Meidl. Nee, ich rup nehmen die ganze Sache. Is a bris a beginning stage, no? And if you didn't believe in that whole thing, why would you do the whole bris to begin with?
It was my breaking point. It wasn't when it started, it was more when it ended.
when did you start taking
Transition.
hormones?
That was a few years later. First,
And
I
how
left.
did it feel? Like
So-
it changes voice? No.
It changes. That's something very interesting. So I started taking hormones. I remember the date. I will probably never forget it. September 4th, 2015. I started taking, and that was after a few months in therapy. You can't start. Something that I think it's important for people to know.
Man darf machen du a distinction, was halt wegen underage. I hope we get there.
You can't just show up to a doctor and be like, I want hormones. Even hormones, forget about surgery. Even hormones, they don't just give you. You need to I had to talk to a social worker, basically a therapist, and talk to a patient coordinator. And after a few months of that, I started hormones.
What is it? Does it affect
Masbe gewesen, als al pikabula kennen sein, die Getrachtigkeit weggehen.
sex
I don't
drive
know.
as well?
It affects everything. So what you have to realize is that when you look at a person and you identify the person as male and female, everything, assuming that you're not at a nude beach, so assuming that that person has clothing on, everything that you're seeing is impacted by hormones. It's called, scientifically, it's called secondary sex characteristics, which is basically, obviously, the sex drive, but everything. How much hair you have on your body, whether or not you have facial hair, whether or not you have boobs, the size of your ass, the size of your shoulder. The one thing I will say is that hormones can only add, it can switch around fat, but it can't change bones, which is something which is also why it's very important for teenagers if they start early, which is a whole other conversation.
Wow, man geht inter 18.
But it can add, it
Do you
can't
recommend
remove.
something like that for young people? Do you think that it's
I don't recommend anything. I recommend for young people to talk to a gender affirming
and that's
therapist.
it? Let the therapist take
Yes,
care of it.
that's what I recommend. I don't recommend, and I
Okay,
do
this is for insurance purposes only, sagt sie das.
that if the therapist says that that's what they have to do, they should do it. The short answer is everything changes. Sex
Wait, when the therapist says, hold on, when the therapist says you should do it, you should do it?
Let the therapist take
Yes,
care of it.
that's what I recommend. I don't recommend, and I do think that if the therapist says that that's what they have to do, they should do it.
Kommt das gehört?
And I don't recommend,
Yeah.
and I do think that if the therapist says that that's what they have to do, they should do it.
So when the therapist sagt die das tun, they should do it. Phew.
The short answer is everything changes. Sex drive for me disappeared for about 6 months and then came back slightly different, let's just say.
So what's your position with surgeries and
What's your position?
do any of them?
What I will tell you is that nothing that you see is from surgeries. When you look at me, again, assuming I'm wearing
Okay.
clothes, everything is just hormones. There's something that I'm not going to dive into. I invite people to look up something called intersex, which is something that I don't know to this day because my parents don't talk to me. There's a
I was
chance.
about to ask you that. I was
There's a
thinking about it.
chance that something was going on when I was born that might be related to gender that I'm unaware of. I can't know for sure until I get my records, which I've been able to get because those include my
What does
mom.
that
and
mean?
when I was born, what I know is that I was in the NICU, which is the neonatal
Okay.
ICU, basically the ICU for babies, for a few weeks, I think, if I remember correctly. The other piece of whatever you want to call it, evidence or something else that I know, is that I had a hernia surgery when I was 2. I will explain in a second why that matters. And then years later, about 6 months into hormones, I started having extreme stomach pain. I went to a doctor. They took a CAT scan. And then they were like, one of my kidneys is 20% out of place. and basically something that is called gonads, which are basically this. I feel like we're gonna have to go into a science biology lesson here, which is gonna take very long. But
That's
the
right.
short
Let's make it a short
yeah,
version,
the
right.
short answer, the short thing of it is that it's very likely, I have no way to know for sure without doing more tests, which at the moment hasn't been very important, but it's very likely that I
Hasn't been important. Guck mal, the ganze identity of this. That hasn't been important? You don't want to find out?
something that is called mild androgen insensitivity, which means that my body, compared to 98% of people who identified as male at birth, my body doesn't respond to testosterone the same way 98% of people respond, which is something that has existed since I was born. Possibly, I don't know 100%, but most likely. The reason I'm saying this is, so for me, a lot of the changes were quicker than I even expected. Like, for example, I started hormones in September 2015. I was planning to not come out to my parents until June of 2016. And then a few months in, literally, I went home for a Shabbos. At the time, I wasn't religious anymore. I was already in college, but I was still talking with my parents. I went home for Shabbos, and my mom was already starting
Kijk ons aan face. Aan face is in ganzen verloren. What's gonna happen?
that something is changing, which was surprising to me and surprising to my doctors until I learned months later that something is going on, that my body reacts differently than most trans people. But unrelated to that, what changed? What you should really ask is what didn't change.
Okay.
Zijn face is $1 million. They nach his face.
What changed? What you should really ask is what didn't change.
Okay.
No, I mean that. Like, we're talking like
Red Jones, ook was hat sich nicht gechanged. Jesus.
your sex drive, even before you do any surgeries, the way your body reacts to when you get turned on, the way you
It's
are,
different.
it's different. As soon as the impacts are, it's not a radical change immediately. It goes slowly, but by the time you hit 5 years on hormones, even without any surgeries, let's just say, even if you still have a penis, it doesn't act like one.
Got
That's
you.
as much as
It doesn't act like one. It doesn't need to act.
I say.
What's your relationship now with your family
Unfortunately, my parents, by their own decision, have stopped talking to me
since then?
since then. I actually had, and I went out of my way, before I came out publicly, I wanted my parents to hear it from me. And I brought in a rap
Get a schlepper off the shirt wegen sneers. Okay?
to me
Since then?
You're lucky.
since then. I actually had, and I went out of my way, before I came out publicly, I wanted my parents to hear it from me. And I
Yes?
brought in
Sneers.
a rabbi who grew up Orthodox as well, who is now kind of what we would probably call modern Orthodox.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'll be back in a second. All right. Let's go.
Supports LGBTQ people and supports trans people and speaks some Yiddish. And I invited my parents to his house. This is all going to be in the play that's starting next month. But anyway, I invited my parents to his house. And the end, only my dad came. He decided that, apparently.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, because the man of the house neemt care. De mama wat gaat haar hartzattack.
I really had an intense conversation with him for 2 hours. One of the things that I showed him.
Why
is
did you try to convince him or explain him?
So we decided to take the route of talking to him about neshamas. Talking about the neshama, the soul could be different.
Okay.
Like, get him to agree to that, and that
Who
should be
is
a
you?
start.
You and the Rav?
Me and that Rav.
Okay.
One of the things that I showed him is a teaching from a book called Ruzin Doiraisa, which has a lot of teachings from Ramechel Zlotchever. Some of us know Rabbi Chil Mechel from Zlotchever, for those who don't know what Ramechel Zlotchever is, who is an early Hasidic Rebbe, who also happens to be a direct ancestor for me, which I knew like my dad can't push it away. And he has a teaching without going into details, but literally I'm translating word for word, where he says, for the reasons of reincarnation, at times a female would be in a male body. Very similar to that Kabbalistic text I mentioned earlier.
How did he take it?
And it pushed him. It got to a point where he said that it's possible. He admitted that this idea could happen, like you can have a different neshama. And then he said, you need a tzaddik abal riach hakodesh. You need a righteous person with a Holy Spirit, and only he could know. So basically his reaction was like, you have no way of knowing. And I know when my dad, this was 2015, when my dad in 2015 said, you need a tzaddik abal riach hakodesh, there was one person on the planet in his mind that fit that description.
Who's that?
Vision Rebbe from Muncie at the time, who my dad like really believed in. And let's just say for anyone who knew Vision Rebbe from Muncie will know that that would have never happened.
Right. So so this conversation was your last conversation with him?
And then he said, and I said like, this was my attempt to do the best, because I was at a point
That
where
was before you changed your actual look, earrings and everything?
it was starting to change. It was starting to change, but it wasn't, this was before it came up
You knew
publicly.
that you're going there?
I
By this conversation?
I was telling him.
That what? You
Not before. He didn't know before. But after the conversation, he knew, yes.
That you're going.
But for me, and I think that's important for people to understand also, and that is the case for most trans people. For me, it wasn't a question of, can I continue living this life, maybe even suffer
No,
living
you
this
came
life.
to tell him. That's what I feel.
I came to tell him not just that it's for me, it's this, or I don't know if I'm going to be alive in a year. I'm not kidding.
That I don't, I'm not really buying.
Felt?
100%. For me, it was I either transition or I have no idea if I'm going to be alive in it.
Keiner weiß nicht, was geht an. Keiner hat nicht keine Ahnung, was geht an nach Jahr von jetzt. I feel like the Hebrews will nicht transitionen.
I'm not kidding. I know this is a really hard statement.
Right.
And it's not maybe the case for everyone. And I'm grateful because I feel like I caught myself right before. I never actually had suicidal thoughts. I never got that far. Because to me, in my mind, it was always like, okay.
Wait, did it get far or didn't get far? What happened? He gemeint as within 1 year he wouldn't know.
It's not that bad.
Right.
But this is, for me, the options was transitioning or I'm not alive. It wasn't, there was no other option.
Okay, and I guess he didn't accept it, so since then...
He didn't accept, he literally said, this means I can't talk to you ever again. I asked him, can we at least talk on the phone? And he said no.
So since then you don't talk?
I've called him many times, he doesn't respond. Sometimes before, for some weird reason, only before Yom Tovim. All Yom Tovim.
The answers?
If I send them a text, so I host big meals. Anyone can see it on Instagram. I host big holiday meals. I love it. I do the full
In your
traditional.
house?
In my house, I host.
Where do you live?
In Park Slope.
Okay.
I will make challah. I will make like literally everything.
Echte
Like,
Rebbetzin.
I do echte rabbits, echte balabusi.
Good one.
Whole thing, and I make kiddush, and I do the whole thing. Mana sedurim, and in my
Sie heißt Holly, wenn sagt Mana Sedurim. Stech, er sagt das wenn in Hebrew. Ugh.
world of like progressive, like Jewish circles, they're like world renowned in my world, which is maybe like I do like break Mana sedurim them and Zach shoe.
No way. You're still full-fledged Hasidish.
We're talking. Oh yeah, that's what I tell people out. I'm definitely not Orthodox.
You're just trans.
I think I'm still Hasidish. I'm not Orthodox though, but I might be Hasidish.
Right.
Oh yeah. Anyway. But when I send my dad a photo, let's say, of my Yom Tov table, like man challah, man ka.
Es ist interessant, dass nicht geworden gay. Like, he didn't, and ich herausgekommen gay for a few times and saying, oh, maybe not gay, okay.
Whatever it would be.
Not your face or body,
No,
but
no,
when
no,
something...
never. Something from the table, and I say get Yom Tov, he will respond with get Yom Tov. But that's it. If I then try to talk more, he doesn't talk.
What's your relationship with your kid?
That's one of the things I don't like to talk about. I think my son's life is very important for me to be private. All I do say is that a few things that are important for me.
Wait, how does he know identifies as a son, as a boy? Maybe it's a daughter.
Context. I didn't leave my ex at all, actually, in big part because of my son. She left me, not really by choice. There's a lot that I don't know for sure. I've heard a lot of rumors, but I don't want to repeat them because I don't know how much of it is true. But her family definitely pushed her into it. But only after she left with my son, only then I started leaving. Because only when I realized that there's no way for me to live with my son, and that's very important for me. And we do have joint custody. We have 50,
So we
have joint custody. His life today is a bit different. My ex's family hasn't been very nice about all of that, but that's as much as I would share. I don't like talking about his life today. I tell everyone when he's 18, his bar mitzvah was just a few weeks ago. Do not ask me if I was there because I'm not going to answer.
Okay.
My family was all there. I can say that much. He
Dit
has
is
a very
Genfer.
good relationship. I never spend weekends with him, but he does spend weekends with my parents a lot. And weirdly enough, let's say, to give an
Ooh,
example,
sad.
at the last 3 weddings of my youngest 3 siblings, my ex...
You're going?
That's what I was going to say. My ex was there, as far as I know. My son was definitely there, and I wasn't invited.
Right, so you
my
didn't
ex...
go?
No, my ex, I wasn't allowed.
Why would you be invited? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but why would you be invited? Like, since we, wow,
not like-
she got
You ever
invited,
went since
obviously.
then, by the way, to any Hasidic weddings you ever went? And if yes, where do you go? To the throne shield?
Let me tell you, let me tell you one
Really?
thing.
No way.
I have a friend who's a journalist from Croatia. Not Jewish, but
Kijk hoe nach his ganze body language.
Went since then, by the way, to
Er
any
geht von tough zu werden sweet, weißt du? Because it is weird. Like, the guy said, the Bible what?
weddings you ever went? And if yes, where do you go? To the throne shield?
let me tell you one, let me tell you one
Really?
thing.
No
The
way.
true
I have a
nachis
friend
are
who's a
given.
journalist from Croatia. Not Jewish, but she studies Judaism, and she writes a lot about Judaism. In Croatia, she actually wrote a piece.
That
You
was
can find it
funny,
online if you
Nachi.
speak Croatian.
Okay.
She was here once, and I took her to New Square because she wants a radical village. Like, if you want to see, New Square is really, and also it has the family connection. Like, the square that Rebbe Fana Bianca Yosef is my uncle. He was my uncle.
Really?
So, yeah. And my great-grandmother was a Twersky. So I'm a descendant of Reb Dovidel Square, the first one, not the Cotton one, is my great-great-grandfather.
You know history from these old Rebbe's and Hasidus
But that's
10
the thing.
times more than me.
To me, that's just family.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, so like Square was like she was doing a piece on me, and she was doing a piece on the community, and like she wanted to do it personal. So I felt like Square is like the personal connection and the family connection. We went, and then she asked me she wants to go to a wedding. I was like, sure. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a Rebbe wedding in Square. Like, the men are in the synagogue,
Right.
and the women are in a Tatus Charmer. At least
Right.
that's what it was. I don't know if that's still the case. We're talking here 8 years ago. So I learned when there's a wedding. It's not hard to learn. And I was like, you know what? Okay.
Let's go to the Vabish.
Let's go. Of course. I did that. And like we dressed up, and like I wasn't gonna pretend to be Hasidic, but if anyone knows Square has this whole like kid of thing that a lot of other Hasidic communities don't know. Like if you look like Orthodox but not Hasidic, you can kind of like you wouldn't fit in as Hasidic, but you will fit in as someone who belongs. And I went. This is when I realized was something I didn't know. Apparently, which I didn't realize, I look exactly like my oldest sister now,
Okay.
which I didn't even know. I had no idea. I never
Don't
put
tell
it
me
together.
somebody came up to you and, oh my God.
Square has a daughter that is my cousin. Well, they're all my cousins, but more importantly, my mom is a Meislish. I don't know if you know that family, Weizen, EO, whatever, that whole family, whatever, doesn't matter. But so Vision Rebbe in Muncie, the one who's a Rebbe in Muncie now, he's married to my mom's first cousin. He's married to Meislish, whatever, doesn't matter. So he has a son that's married to Square Rebbe's daughter. And she knows my mom quite well. I don't know, they're not best friends or whatever, but they know each other. They see each other at family stuff. And she walks up to me. I'm fairly certain it was her because I don't remember her from before, but like it's not like we were hanging out before I transitioned.
So you're saying zijn Schwester kijkt aus Pinktos en Mies wie Hello.
She comes up to me, she's like, you not Meislish? Like, are you a Meisels?
No way.
I pretended I don't speak Yiddish.
Oh my God. You didn't know like how to react?
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, what do you say?
But she really... Apparently, I learned after that I look, which is weird because I always thought I look more like my dad's side, but apparently I look like my older sister. I don't know if that's what
I
she
guess after
confused me with.
transition, you
Yeah.
really...
I look back on photos and I do, because also like weirdly enough, I have 8 sisters, but the oldest and the youngest look the most alike. And apparently I look like that.
Question, what do you think about the pushing of LGBTQ community in schools for young children?
I don't think that's
Ooh.
happening. I think what we're pushing is
Whoa, it's not happening? That's a lie.
to be aware that exists. No one is pushing anything. No one is trying to get anyone to be trans. No one is trying anyone to be...
No, wir nehmen nicht gewinnt kein Book Reading und die alle Sachen und die alle meine Books, wo es Menschen gemeint, pure liegend.
No one's trying anyone to be queer. Let me tell you a secret from the insides of the LGBT community. We have not figured yet out how to make people queer. We haven't. I wish we did. We don't know how to turn people gay.
Zaire get the saying, but I don't think that's true.
Know how to turn people trans. I'm saying this half jokingly. I'm not saying we have a interest in it. But what I mean by that, I think what you would call we push on schools, we're not pushing. All we're trying to do, like in New York, for example, where it is currently part of the curriculum, in New York State, like in public schools and everywhere else, is the pushing that we're talking about is that when you teach people about sex, instead of just teaching them about straight sex, you're also teaching them about gay sex. We're not pushing anything on them anymore that we have always been pushing straight sex on them. Like we're not pushing anything. All we're telling them is that it's possible.
Sie kann nicht gewinnt kein Reading, sie kann nicht gewinnt kein, ich kann nicht jetzt die Books, but sie do Books, was haben wir rausgegeben, was ist pure, was man darf nicht geben für kein Kind. Sie chillig welche Sex oder welche Sache die will sein.
What do you think about forcing using the
Pronouns? First of all, and I think as we have seen, you can't force anyone to do anything. I think you see that. I do think that we can ask people to be nice. I think a good example of that for me would be the N-word, which even conservatives for now, I do think there are some on the far, far right who love using it when talking about black people, but the consensus is, on the right and the left, everyone from, you wouldn't even get Donald Trump to say it, as much as I think, whatever, you probably know what I think about him, which is really negatively.
Okay.
even he wouldn't use the N-word, for example, right? Even
The N-word.
no one will use it. Why is that? Because it's insulting to people.
Yeah,
It
so,
is a
but
slur.
so if somebody decide, if I decide tomorrow, not in an offensive way, but if I decide tomorrow morning, I want to be a giraffe. Just, you need to accept me because that's what I decided. It's not that I think it's the same. I'm just trying to get the point.
Yeah, I think
And you need to accept it?
I think it's a ridiculous question.
Why?
Because it doesn't exist and no one actually feels that.
Yeah, but every year something else are changing.
No, but that's the
No,
thing. That's the
it
thing.
doesn't
No,
happen.
where's the limits?
Here's the thing.
Where's the
Here's-
limits when it comes to genders and decide he, me, she, we?
These have always been around. I'm writing a book that's coming out on September 2nd for anyone who cares. I wasn't actually planning to mention this. It's not about promoting my book. But
You can
one of the
promote
things that I have in there, for example, just to give, is a poem written in the 13th century by Cloynimus ben Cloynimus. Cloynimus ben Cloynimus, a
I
person
didn't know
that is
that's a
known.
real thing.
Cloynimus ben
Cloynimus ben Cloynimus. I don't know why it sounds
was
like
a Paitan. He wrote Alas. I don't know if you know in Yom Kippur.
Shit.
There's Asura Higa Malchus, Asara Huge Manchut, that were killed, which is
Ach.
Yom Kippur by Minchai.
Stop zogen they mit a different Tavure, wenn du bist aufgewachsen damit. Ach,
Or Musaf. I think Musaf I don't remember which one.
Vomit.
It's said by at least in Ashkenazi, I think also in the Sefard. He wrote that. So for example, we're talking about someone who, a Paitan, someone who really is accepted. And he has a book called Evan Bochen. And in there he writes a lot of things. He or they or she actually. But in there there's a poem that literally starts with, "Cursed be the one who told my father it's a boy when I was born. I wish I could be a woman." It goes on in a very long
yeah, he wish it could be a woman, but that doesn't mean he's a woman. There's a lot of people that wish to be other things.
Like when I talk about the fact that the Talmud, the Gemara talks about different genders and different sex, at least two of them include people, intentional. So it's called, using the Hasidic Havura, it's called Saris Udam and Eilanus Udam or Saris Adam, Elanot Adam, which are people who are either assigned male at birth who by their own choice, by human action, now represent or do something that's more female, and same the other way around. The
But it doesn't make him. It doesn't make him the other way around.
reality that has existed 2,000 years ago, the reality that in every culture, literally every culture that we have documentation from, you find LGBTQ people and you find non-binary people.
So all you
things
feel-
aren't new.
So what you see now is just, it becomes more legit.
It's becoming more acceptable.
Right.
I think it's always been legit, but it's becoming more acceptable. I think that's a bit. I don't know if you show me that historically people have identified as giraffes and it's not just someone trying to troll.
It was just a
I've
question.
But that is
Me
what
to
I'm
say,
trying to
where is
explain
the
to you.
limits that somebody could decide that I'm something, you know?
I don't necessarily think that the limits are sincerity. The limits are, and I think people are, like you can tell, and for me at least at the
But I
moment,
feel, no, what I want to say is when somebody tells you really, and there is people like that, they can
Yeah.
say, I feel I'm in a body of a human, but I'm whatever. It is. You're saying there's no such thing there is. I'm not saying a giraffe.
Very, very few.
But, okay,
Yeah.
but
What do you
why
mean?
is their acceptance less than your acceptance or whatever?
because it exists less.
So that's why
So?
if there would be only 5
100%.
LGBT community in the world that's not accepted anymore?
I wouldn't say they shouldn't be accepted. I don't mind. Like
So
if someone
if
someone comes to me and says
I'm a
they
turtle.
identify, and if I mean the only thing that I would say, which is something I said to every LGBTQ person, that if I could if there are at least some gender affirming therapists or professionals who tell me that it's that's what's
So the therapist sucht. In the therapist hat nicht kein personal vendetta. Wusste the therapist fühlt nicht geht. Oder ist damals schlechter therapist. So du schlechter therapist.
to do is to accept it, I would. If I'm told professionally that that's the best thing to do, which is where I get the so concerned, like when people are so resistant, when you are told that this is the best thing
Weil man pusht the boundaries. Und wenn man pusht boundaries, kann es gehen in the wrong Weg.
by professionals.
Man brecht the fabric von society.
Because sometimes it doesn't look like in your case it's already much more accepted. This what it means.
I understand.
People are already aware of it, and it's not
Yeah.
so funny that when
Yeah,
we
because
were
it's more,
smaller.
but the only reason because it has been around for longer and more people are there are more people who are trans men and trans women
I
than
think
there are non-binary
I think
people.
I think the education that they're giving too much for it. In my personal opinion, is too much. So people think one day they wake up they feel different, so they right away start doing steps before they have time to think what they really are or how they feel about it.
As far as I know, that's not how it works.
Okay.
There's a good example of that. There was like a conservative troll who tried to do that, and he came up with saying that everyone that he spoke to, he pretended to be a trans woman for like 6 months. And then he came up with saying that everyone he talked to was very nice to him and accepted him, and everyone kept pushing him to talk to doctors and professionals. And he was very upset about that. The reality is in our community, I'm not saying that everyone has to even go to a medical tradition. That's very important. Like you can be trans, you can be queer without necessarily, like not everyone has the same approach. But I do think that I think every human being needs a therapist.
Why do you need to change your body to confirm wo du bist? If you feel like you're a girl, okay, bist am Idol. Good. Why do you have to take something off?
Every
Or
human
add
being
something.
should talk, but I do think that I don't think like a single person should be like, oh, this is how I'm feeling. My response would be like, I hear you, I listen to you. I will probably tell them that I accept you because I do because I think that's the most important thing.
Maybe
to
because you
affirm
went through on your own meat.
Yes, I know what it means.
So if you're
Your own
stack
meat.
of any
I
kind of-
That was funny.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would say I listen to you, I hear you, you are valid, what you're feeling, and I would love for you to talk to professionals who might be able to help you.
Okay. How are Hasidim, especially people that you know them from the past, how are they accepting you when you're walking into Williamsburg or you meet them sometimes in Gottlieb's or whatever?
Surprisingly more than I would expect. Here's what I
They're
would say.
smiling to you? They're nice to you?
I mean, here's what I would say. I think the people who choose to engage, Hasidic people, I think the vast majority choose to not to ignore. And
Like they
that's-
see you and they don't even recognize. And you recognize them?
Here's the other thing. Most people don't recognize. I would say, here's the thing. I don't know what the numbers are exactly. My estimate, for
Right.
like more like guesstimate that I'd say about 50% of Hasidic people legitimately are not online, right? I think like some Hasidic rabbis will have an issue with me saying that 50% of Hasidic people are online, but I think that's about my guesstimate. I don't know. Yeah, and like yes,
At this point.
a big percentage of that maybe are on like kosher, blah blah blah, some filters and so on. But the people who truly are not online, really don't recognize me.
Yeah, that makes
Like,
sense.
there are people-
They don't see you. They
I
don't
mean,
know who you
even the people who like are only on WhatsApp, and I think that I know a lot of people like that, only social media. I don't even know if they would
are. I
recognize
think
me.
WhatsApp, they will recognize
Sometimes, yeah, could be. I don't know. Yeah, okay.
you.
Either.
But I'm asking, people
Yeah,
recognize you.
Sometimes people do. I can see a lot. Like when I'm in Williamsburg, for example, I can see on people when they recognize me and just choose to
Right,
like
right,
not
right.
say anything.
Right.
We know that. I mean, also like
I have it too.
You lived in Williamsburg.
No,
so you
I
know
also have it. Like a lot of people recognize me, they're afraid to come like and
Exactly.
say something or
Yeah.
whatever. Right.
I mean, I would say some people are afraid. I think some people just don't want to get involved.
Right.
Like,
Then
some people are afraid. Some people are just like, oh, whatever.
Ze hebben mooi dat ze catchy, you know. We gaan gaan redden, zie all of a sudden is men naar hier.
But I am surprised by the amount of positive reactions. I will say that. It's a lot more than I would expect, and it way outweighs
Hasidics.
Hasidic people. It way outweighs any negative interaction.
Okay.
Way outweighs.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the other thing about me, I'm not saying that everyone has to be like that. And you know this. Like, I know we had a heated conversation a minute ago, but you know that outside of that conversation, like, I'm not trying to like kill anyone. Like, I'm not trying
No,
to like.
the opposite. You're very civil.
I'm trying like so. I
You're
think
just
that
saying who you. Again,
I'm
you have
saying
your own
what I
opinions.
think.
We don't agree on a lot of things.
You wanna hear
but
something
it's you.
shocking?
You know,
You
I'm
wanna
not
hear
here to
something
judge or
shocking?
anything. It's fine. No.
I sometimes don't agree with what I said. A few months later, I don't agree with it, and I'm very proud of that.
Right.
I don't think my opinions are final. None of. I just.
Oh, wow. I'm waiting for the day that the Israel conversation should come
Well-
back. You might change your. Okay, what?
Here's the thing.
Dacht je, get dat waar van. Like, hopefully dat nemen nog do change. Blab the meidel. Be the girl you want to shine. But there's really Kim today.
So now back.
I was at several APEC conferences when I was in college, my first 2 years.
Okay.
I'm not. There's no topic in the world that I
you're
would
not-
say that I cannot be changed.
Got you. Did Trump affect you or your community in some way?
Trump first term, me personally, on a very individual level, was mostly on an emotional way. I think the biggest thing that Trump did
emotional.
during his first term, which was a way more ineffective term, like he didn't do as much. He talked a lot, but he didn't do as much. And I think he gave permission for hate. That was the most important, in my opinion, evil thing.
He gave permission.
He gave permission to hate. He gave
What does that
permission, meaning that a lot of transphobic people didn't feel like
Felt
they
comfortable
could
to
say,
hate.
felt comfortable to hate. Who then, and it's the same with racism. It's the same with a lot of other things that people, and this is regardless of what Trump actually thinks. My personal opinion of Donald Trump is that that person doesn't give a damn about almost anything. He is mostly interested in his businesses. To me, that is morally
love
corrupt.
him.
To me,
He's a businessman.
To me, that is morally
putting all the
corrupt.
politics.
I don't care.
I'm a
But I'm
businessman.
saying,
I
like,
like-
I
I love it.
legitimately, and I tell those people, I legitimately don't think he's transphobic. I don't think he cares enough about trans people to be transphobic.
Why would he care of a few percent of the world?
I do think that
That
he
was just-
knows that he can get his people riled up by talking transphobic stuff, so he would do that.
Okay.
He knows that he can get... Anyway, but that's a separate conversation. But the first term, for me, there were a lot of people who were impacted, and I think it's very important. There were people who were killed because of that hate, and I'm not saying Donald Trump shot them. I'm saying is that 100% that people who felt emboldened, who have been killed, who have been tortured, who have
But
been
generally, this sector
excommunicated...
is a little hard one emotionally, meaning to say trans are known to be very, like, a lot
Because-
of them are taking it, like, you know how it is.
No,
like, it's a
because
sensitive topic.
it's sensitive, and we also live in
Because they became all women, so they got all... When the juices up in their head.
a world...
That
don't
not
live in
everybody's
a-
accepting,
Not
it's
just not
hard.
everybody. Even the people who are accepting, we still live in a world where the norm... But we call that... The term for that is, and we're not going to explain it, people can look it up, it's cis-normativity, CIS normativity, which is we live in a world where most people are not trans. So by definition, we're
But I don't know.
constantly...
You want people to be trans? No, you want
that's
people to be
not-
themselves.
It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's a
Right.
reality.
Reality.
We live in a world where we are not, where not everyone is like us.
It's a reality that you choose in to get to this reality.
I don't think it's a choice, but that's a separate conversation. I don't think it's a choice.
Oh, it's what. Okay, I
It's
hear
who
what
we
you're
are. I don't think it's a choice. But we do live in a world where it's hard to be us. So it's... I mean,
saying. So how is it to be a 2025 trans?
so
Wo heißt es so hard? So far sehe ich, als Abby wagt im Ganzen mit der Tatas und ungetein wie ein Meidl und sucht, dass sie ist ein Meidl. I don't see a guy mit protection ungetein.
So let's get to that point. So like, I think personally, on a personal level, I wasn't impacted directly as much as the community was very impacted. And that is me saying this also from a place of privilege. And by that, I mean, I am what most people would say passing, which is when I just walk down the streets, and if I want to pass, most people just see me as a woman.
Right.
That's right. Sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I wouldn't do my makeup that well. Sometimes I don't care. But if I care, I can pass. So I
You
usually...
have sometimes reactions when sometimes people like they see you as a woman, what you are,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then you talk to them and they give you this face.
happens, right? My voice is one. So here's the thing. I actually started doing voice therapy when I started to transition. And this is going to sound very interesting, and most people are not going to get it, but the world that I live in, it makes sense.
Ja, es ist so wie Mr. Beast gehad, sein Chevroman, was geworden, auch hat am Swing in der andere Seite gegangen, zu Voice Lessons.
I started losing my accent. My English became like a very stereotypical English accent, like American
Which is
English.
good, though.
I didn't like that.
Why? You want to have a Hasidic English?
It felt fake. It didn't feel real.
You're so Hasidic. You have no way
No,
out
I-
of this place.
I don't have a way out. I do have a way
No,
out,
but
I
you
don't
say you
want
like
to.
it.
I like it. No, really. That's the other thing that I need people. I don't hate Hasidic people.
Right.
It's
You
part
don't.
of who I am, and I honestly feel it's part of my, if I may say, I don't say brand in the way that it's fake. It's real, obviously, but it's part of who I am. Why would I get rid of it? So that's like anyway. But yes, I definitely 100% have when people start talking.
That's what everybody's asking about your junk. Why would you get rid of it? Why?
I even have had people.
How do you take it? How do you?
If I really want, I can talk in ways that people cannot tell.
I see that. Okay.
But most of the time, I don't care. I really don't like it.
Right.
And I
But
have
it's for
had.
you harder.
Not necessarily. I just don't want to. Like my go-to, if I talk, if I pay attention to, that's how voice therapy works. If I pay attention to it for a few months, it will become my standard voice.
And so why don't you do it if you want to be you're a girl?
Yeah, because first of all, I don't think that's a make it or break it.
No, but if I feel it's more comfortable.
So what makes it or breaks it to be an idol? That would be a good segue. Get the question.
Not
If I would
necessarily.
listen to
Not in the world that I live in. Not really. Like
You
because
don't mind it?
I don't. It's not just I don't mind it. It's for me, and I think that is true for most trans people. We do what we do in terms of physical transition to feel comfortable in our own bodies. If I start sounding just like every other American like Valley girl, it's not me. Come
Right,
on.
you want to have your special
So, okay.
your special
Es ist interessant, als ein transgender Meidl, Sucher zu einem Meidl, hat nicht gewollt ein Tit. Bad. So it's not about the feeling inside.
your thing.
It's not me. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I say. But here's what I need to say. And some of the other things, for example, in 2016, which I talk about privilege, I have an updated birth certificate. New York
As a woman?
specifically, yes. In New York, there's a law basically when I update my birth certificate, they delete any record.
Really?
So there's literally a line in New York City. I think it's New York State as well, but at least in New York City, there's a space on your everyone can look on their full. There's like two kinds of birth certificates: there's short form and long form. But if you look on your long form birth certificate, there's a box where if you never change your name or anything, it will say no correction history. If you, let's say, a lot of people get married and change your last name, if you change it on your birth certificate, it will say in there that you changed it. So, but for trans people, they have done this. It was a law passed in 2014, I think, where there's
Why is
no
it so
history.
important?
For some of the things, it's like because a lot of people are afraid. There's very often it can out you. Like when for times you have to carry your birth certificate, and it's not safe. Like if you go to a
Safe.
place where,
Right.
so that's it. And so that's why they.
Wie trok man de birth certificate als on safe? Bij de DMV? Wie nog kan man trokken een birth certificate? Wie die als moeire?
So I had that. I have my updated social security. I have my updated passport. I have it here with me. I can show it to you. My updated ID. So I had a certain privilege, and I want to recognize that. So personally, I was less impacted physically. I was impacted emotionally, and our community was heavily impacted. This time around than ever, it's already impacted. My passport expires in 2027. The way we're standing right now, it's very possible that I just wouldn't be able to renew it.
So what's going to
Forget
happen?
about Jen. I have no idea. Right now, I know several people, and it was just in the news.
I
because
doubt you're not going to be able to travel.
it literally just happened to someone, to a very well-known trans people, which is why a lot of people. But I personally know many people that it happened to, where they're so confused. The people issuing the
But if
passport
you're saying
are
the history is off, so
for
you're
me,
female.
it might not impact me personally. I don't know, but I did have a passport before I transitioned. So the passport, the federal government might have a record of it.
Got it.
But either way, there's a person, several people that I know who right now wanted to go get a passport. They were told that they can't have the passport with their updated gender marker. So they were like, give me one with my old one. They're like, we can't do that either. To give one example, right now it's impacting people. It's impacting trans healthcare, where a lot of I'm very lucky because my primary physician is a trans health center, so they have always just been doing that, and there's never been federal funding for that, only state funding. So that is not impacted directly, but a lot of hospitals.
Van wo soll man ins bezahlen? Van wo soll taxpayers money gehen? Van zweitens reaffirming care. Zerbrochene hand, zerbrochene fees, kidney surgery, I get it. But van was? Why should someone pay for that hoo-ha?
Are stopping to do trans healthcare. That impacts me. Like I'm a patient at Mount Sinai. At the moment, they haven't stopped adult, though they might, but they have stopped for everyone under the age of 19. They've stopped giving trans
Good.
healthcare. That impacts me directly.
Good. Under 18. Okay, weiß ich, was sie sucht 19 do. But bra.
And so many other things. Right now, it's scarier. It's a matter of this is not a joke. I'm not saying this easily. It's a matter of life and death.
All right, Abby, listen, it was we had a lot of topics covered, I think. And first of all, I want to thank you for coming up. And it will be interesting to see the responses and comments of people. There's a lot of things we spoke, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of comments. I had a good time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Oh, de thank you gewesen ein bisschen feminine.
Comments of people. There's a lot of things we spoke, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of comments. I had a good time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Maybe we'll do part 2
Maybe
in a
we'll
few
do
months.
it. Yes. And here's what I would say when we end. Let's confuse a lot of people. Bring all the hostages home. End the occupation. Don't ever start a war again. Bring everyone home.
Okay, it's a La La Land.
Free Palestine.
Fuck Hamas.
Oh, get Nachi. Get. Good. Alright. Nicht gerät etwas major. Nicht herausgebringt any major points. Stam durchgegangen sein life, ihr life. There was nothing, I don't know. Was ich habe verstanden, als man ja gekannt, zerbadet ihn nicht, aber man nimmt Care von under 18, nicht gewähnt Grude wegen. Halt as Israel is a terror state. Interesting. She has a hoo-ha? Ja, sie gesucht im Mitten, als sie hat a hoo-ha. Sie arbeitet aber nicht dasselbe, weil man nimmt Hormones. So. Phew. Nicht just gerät von life. Von ihr sein, whatever life. Alright, Gevre. Sie gekommen der Zeit, sie sich gesegnen. Davon halt mit dem Tag. Man darf gehen mit dem Tag. versuche ich koch für jeder, was du gehen für eine lange Zeit. Hold on, what guy with the music. All right, Chevra. Thank you all for being here. Shia. Hello and welcome. Thank you für jeder, was du gehen für eine lange Zeit, eine kurze Zeit. Weil wir kommen auf eine andere Tab, viele Minuten andere Tab, warum ich meine dir. Also ich komme noch nicht geliked. Gib hit the like button. Gib uns ein Comment, gib ein Share. Du bist nicht subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Kennst du ein member, please do so. Es helped out the channel tremendously. Moishi Lax. Hello and welcome. But we gotta go. Housekeeping. What's the hand? On the Tuesday. So housekeeping. Handnacht, 8 Zeiger live. Seems that's the plan. What else? Gornish, I think we covered everything. Until next time. Stay kind to one another. Peace.